Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Black Women in Politics, hosted by the Black Women's PAC, partnered with the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats and the Texas Democratic Party and Next Wave Strategies. We are here today just to highlight, the women that are running across the state and a few men, and then also talk about, just get an understanding of the issues that we're facing as it relates to healthcare, education, and criminal justice reform. I'd like to again thank our partners, the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats, by the leadership of Carol Robinson, and Sarita Robinson with the Texas Democratic Party, Chairman Hinojosa, Vice Chair Carla Braley, who will be joining us shortly, and Cliff Walker. Let's see, the Texas Legislative Black Caucus has been a tremendous support in things of the Black Women's PAC and Black Texas. So just to give you an overview of the Black Women's PAC, this is our third year. We launched in 2018, to launch just this political action committee to fulfill its name by establishing a resource fully committed to supporting Black women both on the ballot and at the ballot box. I think that, it's been definitely a fast-paced election cycle in 2018 and now 2020. Building political infrastructure is both at the podium and in the streets. And the importance of the Black Women's PAC to create an additional source for candidates willing to step out on faith and step up on courage to serve Texas families and friends deserves our support and our consideration and our financial commitment to have our own dollars behind our community leaders. I know someone out here whose mama told them and daddy told them, have your own money before you go off and out into the world and do things and find your purpose. And that's the point of the Black Women's PAC, is to raise your own money to have a piece of the pie and to support candidates, our candidates, the candidates that support our issues, our community, and our families. So I just wanted to put that out there, that we should support candidates and we should support PACs that support our candidates. Just wanted to make sure. Just an overview of the Black Women's PAC for a brief second as well. We've supported 38 candidates. Through emails, we've reached 819,000 Texans about the issues of Black women and the candidates that are running for office. We've touched on allies and both men, including men and women. Through social media, through the candidates, promoting candidates and issues, we've hit 480,000 targets on Facebook, 133,000 on Instagram, and we've raised almost $70,000 in these 3 years. As we all know, I hope we know, Tarrant County is the hot seat for Texas, and in this election cycle, we were able to partner with OCGPR, led by Tanya Vesey and powered by Ayanna Anderson, to encourage and remind Black folks in Tarrant County to complete the census. That was a hugely successful social media campaign with 47,000 engagements, 19,000 clicks to our website to learn more about signing up for the census. And then we made 1,655,000 impressions across the state. And that's just organic and paid posts. Now we're branching off and we're moving on to an early vote outreach campaign. And this campaign is Power in Your Vote. Both of these are located on the Black Women's PAC website. We are targeting Tarrant and Dallas County. Tarrant County is the stronghold for the Republican Party, it's been said, and has not had a Democratic judge in over 35 years. And also, it's said that if Tarrant County turns blue, then the state will follow. So we are reaching out. The goal is to reach 80% of the Black population through social media and targeting registered Black women who are low voters or no voting through text messages. And again, you can go on our website to hear more about that. Sarita, if you have a moment, if you'd like to say a few things about what's going on in Texas through the Texas Democratic Party.
Yeah, absolutely. As Tracy said, my name is Sarita. I am the Black constituency organizer with the Texas Democratic Party. I am always so excited when Tracy comes to me with an idea because it means that we're going to do something big and we're going to do something powerful. The Black Women's PAC has been a huge supporter of the work that we've been doing all across the state to engage Black voters as well as Black candidates up and down the ballot. We've had some really big initiatives that have looked like our Black Voters Matter week of action, set out to contact the 1.5 million Black voters all across Texas in partnership with the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats and Powered by People. It's also looked like community events like this, where we can make sure our voters know what's going on, feel connected to our candidates, and are prepared to turn out on October 13th at the start of early vote. We want to make sure everyone who can vote does vote, and we want to make sure that people feel empowered to do so. So again, thank you, Tracy, for having me here today, and I'm so excited for this program.
Thank you. Well, next we have Dr. Carla Braley, Vice Chair of the Democratic Party, Texas Democratic Party. And welcome, Dr. Braley.
Good morning. I'm having a little tech issue, so I'm on my phone because for some reason that it's saying I have a low, capacity for my computer. So forgive me, you all.
Sarita's fire alarm was going off this morning, so it's just,
Oh,
flowing.
I talked to someone else who had a fire alarm. Hey, but this is what we do, particularly as women and Black women. So, whatever, we get it done.
Yeah.
Tracy, just want to commend you for number one. I always say this, probably the same thing when I start, but being true to the conception of your baby, birthing the baby, caring for the baby. And I'm always reminded to say, this is your baby. And so while it's your baby, it takes a village, as you know, to raise that baby. And so I am so glad that we have come together to be a part of your village and raising a baby that is true and needed for all of us. That baby right now is helping even some Black women candidates who may or may not even be on this call right now, who are about to say yes to run for something and have no idea that this baby is going to help them to get some mailers out, to help them to raise some money, to help them to get the word out. And so what a marvelous thing to see something happens in its very early beginnings. And it's just not really starting. Tracy, you know that I'm always here for you. And I say that because I think that's very important for people who are on this call, for candidates who are on this call. It matters to have someone with an organization like this that has advisors who not only care about Tracy, but care about the Black Women's PAC, because we know that not just indirectly, but how directly this PAC will be beneficial. And really, you all, not to just the women in Texas, because the reality is we keep saying this, everything is big in Texas. And, when we turn Texas blue, well, Texas is going to turn blue. And when it does turn, you know what's going to happen? The talk is going to start happening. Well, who were on the ground? Who was on the ground doing this? What organizations were ready? And just by happenstance, women, particularly Black women, don't take the time enough to tell our stories because we really just don't have time. We have fire alarms going off. We have dogs that need to be cared for. We have our parents. We have our children. We have to run. We just have to. And so what happens is, I think we're getting a little bit better of, we may not tell our own stories, but we're sharing enough with our sister circle that our sisters would join together and tell our stories. And when we're not at these tables, because many of us are now getting invited to tables now, but when we're not there, to know that if Tracy's not there, but if I'm in a room, Tracy is in a room. And if Tracy is in a room, the Black Women's PAC is in a room. And if the Black Women's PAC is in a room, that means Black women candidates are in a room. And that's how we get this going. And that's how we get this to last. And it's getting past the survival point that we have proven the resiliency of Black women to be able to do that. It's moving beyond surviving to thriving. I'm sorry. Did I?
No, that was good. I mean, that was my amen. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was in the pew back like this. Yes.
Yeah. So we really have to get beyond this notion of just surviving. And we have
Right.
proven to the world, not just United States, but to the world, that Black women survive. And I believe that while we've had some, some dramatic things that happen in 2020, I think the message is being sent that while Biden selected, he chose a woman, but he chose a Black woman. We have been selected. Now, I'm not going to stand and say now we have shattered the glass ceiling. That's not true. We still have a long way to go. That's what they tried to do with Obama. But we have at least broken that ceiling. And so now it's up for us, you all, to not be shy when we do say yes to do all the things that we're doing. It's up to us to not be overly cautious about making the ask that we absolutely have to ask, because if we don't ask for the money, we cannot survive and thrive. And I think that's what it's all about. And Tracy, thank you for doing what you're doing. Thank you for staying true to your baby, because sometimes we could say, oh, it's not the time for it. Well, we all know that we've had babies and it wasn't the time for it. But we have done it over and over and over to make it work. And I saw Tracy's eyes, but the reality is we're not always prepared to conceive, right? But when we're blessed to be able to have that, we all know that it becomes a really, really good situation, especially when we include our village. Sarita, thank you for being the one that oftentimes is on the other side when we're telling you something is being conceived. We have a baby and we need your help. And thank you so much, Tracy, for just being true. Yeah. Thank you so much.
And so for all your support. And I called Dr. Burley. We had a standing call on Sundays, but we got too busy. So we had to kind of postpone our calls. It's the season. But no, there's not one time I've called, not one time I've asked. So I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Yeah. So it's us. Okay, we are gonna just kind of move on to our first panel, and I'm hoping everyone is on. I can't quite tell if Mayor Ford on. So I'm going to introduce Shakira Dennis. Shakira Dennis is so Shakira Dennis. We're gonna give this title today. We're going to say Managing Partner for Next Wave Strategies, which Next Wave Strategies is Shakira Dennis and Erica Johnson's baby. And they have formed this consulting agency out of Houston that is stretching across the state. And Shakira is just blowing up and doing great things in national politics. And thank you very much for being here, Shakira. And on this panel, we have, Shakira, do you want to you can take it from here, or shall I?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Tracy, I'll take it from here. Thank you for introducing me. As mentioned, my name is Shakira Dennis, the managing partner of Next Wave Strategies, a political consulting and public engagement firm. We are so excited to partner with the Black Women's PAC. This isn't our first partnership, but most certainly a part of a collective movement to ensure that Black women's voices are heard in the civic and political process. And so I am excited to be here. Just yesterday, Dr. Bradley and I were on with the Women Winning Texas program. So this is just an extension of just an amazing weekend, jam-packed with just women being at the forefront of these conversations. We have got an amazing panel ahead of us, starting with Mayor Yolanda Ford, who is the mayor of Missouri City. Also, Rashandra Edwards, who is an active city council member in Missouri City and who's up for re-election, and Dr. Shirley Ross Gillum, who is actually a candidate for Fort Bend ISD Board of Trustees position 4. Hope I didn't get that wrong. But ultimately, we are going to guide a conversation with these women that's centered and rooted in what they've been doing, the importance of Black women on the ballot, and the importance of their voices in the civic and political process. And so I want to allow for each of them to begin with opening remarks. And let's start with Mayor Yolanda Ford. Mayor Ford.
Good morning to everyone. Thank you for having me this morning. I sincerely appreciate it. I am on the ballot, as Shakira knows, coming up, starting on Tuesday with early voting. So I want to say thank you to everyone. I am the mayor of Missouri City, the first female mayor, the first mayor of color in this city, and it has been an experience. So it's what I find very interesting of this whole thing is that it was put out very quickly that the only reason I was elected was because I was a woman and I was Black. So I always like to kind of start off with that because at the end of the day, you know, forget the fact that I was a former council member for 7 years. I was the former city planner for the city. I was a former mayor pro tem for the city. I have a master's in architecture, practiced for over 17 plus years in urban planning, community development, land development, and have leadership skills. But I was elected because I was a woman and I was Black. So with that being said, in this first term, I've been able to lower the tax rate for the first time since 2013. So that has been a big accomplishment for my city. We've started some beautification projects along some major corridors in the city that need to be completed or needed to be done. They were on the books and hadn't been done. We completed those and we're moving forward. We have some big projects that should be coming up soon with redevelopment in the city. So I'm really excited. I want to remind everyone that October 13th through the 30th is early voting. So you need to get out and vote and have your voice be heard. One of the things that I have truly learned since becoming mayor is that, you know, there was a quote by Malcolm X, you know, you hear things, you know, growing up, but until you actually experience it, you don't really understand. And the quote was, the most disrespected person in America is the Black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the Black woman. The most neglected person in America is the Black woman. And I will say this, that we absolutely, you know, are experiencing this today. And I am so appreciative of Tracy and everyone who's out here supporting us right now.
Thank you, Mayor Ford. We'll now hear opening remarks from Council Member Vashandra Edwards. Vashandra?
Good morning, everyone. I am Councilmember Vashandra Edwards, and I really appreciate this safe space for African-American women, but only African-American women in politics, to actually have this safe space where we can openly express ourselves and just convey our passion for the community. As you guys mentioned, I am Councilmember Vashandra Edwards. I do want to thank the Black Women's PAC for actually having me, Shakira and Erica for setting this up and inviting me on this panel. As our wonderful mayor mentioned, it's a wonderful experience to actually be an elected official in Missouri City. I'm so happy to be a part of this community. I grew up here. I'm a native Missouri City resident. My family are still here, thriving in the community. And within my experience, it was very intriguing in the beginning for people to tell me, oh, you're too young. Why are you doing this? You need to sit down. You have no experience. But I stepped out on faith. I was triumphant. I persevered and I was successful. I ended up beating an incumbent that was in office for over 30 years. Actually, he was the longest sitting African-American public official in Fort Bend. And I was able to be successful in that race. I was able to finish my first term by successfully working alongside of my mayor, who I hold so high in regard to and getting some great things accomplished in Missouri City. So we are moving forward. We have some great things, like I mentioned, lined up. I'm so happy for us. I'm so happy to see the great things that are going to actually transpire under our leadership. So please remind your friends and family to vote, vote locally, which actually affects everyone in their community, the first before any state or any federal laws, but locally is really what hits home and is what is your doorstep. I'm the #1 person in my ballot, Vashandra Edwards, City Council at Large. Again, I just want to thank you guys for this opportunity. I am excited. I'm excited to be a voice for the younger generation and just motivate the Black young girls who people say you talk too much, you should sit down, you know, be quiet, shrink yourself. I am that person that can let the young girls know, hey, you can be any person that you want to be. You have a space at any table, you create that space. So thank you guys for this opportunity. You're on mute.
Shirley Ross Gillum, who will provide us with opening remarks.
Well, good morning, and thank you so much for the invitation to be among the group of women and men that are here today. I am just so blessed on a Sunday morning to be able to do this. My name is Shirley Rose Gilliam, and I'm running for the Fort Bend ISD School Board Position 4. I'm a 30-year educator with 25 of those years right here in Fort Bend ISD. I started my career in Fort Bend as a teacher back in 1989 at Willow Ridge High School. Then from Willow Ridge, I went over to the other side. We have the east and the west side here in Fort Bend. And the east side is our Missouri City area where Sandra and our mayor just spoke about. And I live right there, right here in Missouri City also. So I was at Willow Ridge High School, and then I went to Elkins High School, went to Kempner High School, and then I was principal.
Uh-oh,
I'm sorry.
You froze just a little bit, Dr. Gillum, but go ahead. Sorry about that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. You froze just a little bit. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I am an educator who always fought for the education of all children. I have a demonstrated history of developing principles and improving campus culture. I have a doctorate in educational leadership from Texas A&M University, and I bring to the Board of Trustees knowledge of how a campus works. I know how it feels to be on those campuses that are successful, and I know how it feels when you're having difficulty. I am different because I am the one who can tell the story, and the story of what is actually happening in the school. Many times people will say, well, you don't have to be an educator to be on the school board. Well, I totally agree with that, but I believe an educator needs to be on the school board, and we at current time right now, we do not have one. I believe in transparency, trust, and accountability. I'm the person at the end of the day, when we have decided that we're going to implement something, I will look to see, well, how is this going to benefit children? I've always worked in schools where, as a principal, schools that were in need of improvement. I've been that principal that has walked in, and I definitely agree with Vashandra about a safe place here. I've always been that person that, okay, I go into the school, I'm the principal, and then I have to fight for my children when we go to the board meetings or when administration comes through. I have worked several times with people who are my supervisors who really don't understand school improvement, who really do not understand the plight that we go through. I want to be that board member who comes on the school board and really truly looks and talks about education. Assessment and evaluation of programs, what is working and what is not working, and just being very, when we talk about transparent, it's a matter, when I talk about transparent, it's a matter of, okay, if you plan to do something, I really want you to come back and tell me about it. Meaning that if we're lacking and we did not meet that deadline, well, tell me why we didn't meet the deadline before I have to ask why we didn't meet that deadline. So I'm about, again, school improvement, but bottom line, I'm about kids. I'm one child out of 6 who actually went to go to college. So 5 of my brothers and sisters, they either have GED or high school diploma. And the reason why I went was because of Helen Humphrey at Madison High School, my typing teacher, who decided to put an application in front of me, college application, and said, you know, told me and gave me, just gave me guidance and told me that I could do it. So I grew up to be an educator just like her. But school was a place that for me, it was safe, and I love school. And I want to be that person again on the board that is going to always bring it back to teachers and students and the classroom, and making sure that we're doing everything that we need to do for children.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Gillum. So I want to dive right in. I want to dive right into our first question, which is what motivated each of you to run for public office? And so I want to start with you, Mayor Ford.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So basically, as working while I was a city planner for the city, I just saw some things in the community. I'm a lifelong resident of Missouri City that I didn't like, changes that were going on. And, I've always been one of these people that you can, sit and complain about something, or you can try to change it. So I've always been taught, changing it is the road that you take, and not just sitting and complaining. So I made the decision at that point to go ahead and run for office, because I didn't like some of the decisions that were being made. I didn't like, the development in my city that wasn't being done, or areas of the city that were literally dying. So I decided that, I would run for office to try to help that situation.
Thank you, Mayor Ford. Councilmember Edwards, what was your motivation for pursuing public office?
Okay. For me, my motivation for pursuing public office was just as Mayor Ford mentioned earlier, just the lack of leadership that we had in our community, the lack of the changes that were not progressive, and just for me, the representation that did not reflect the demographics or the diversity within our community. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm a native resident of Missouri City. My parents have a local restaurant. And for me, it was always like a little politician juke joint, I would call it, where everyone comes over and we'll talk about the candidates that are locally running, and we'll figure out who's going to be the best person to serve in our community. And that was just pretty much my upbringing. My mom and my father are always engaged. And that was just something I just watched in the background. And I said, hey, man, I want to be that change in my community that's going to push us forward, that's going to give us the representation that we desire. And so in 2018, I just pretty much stepped out on faith, and I said, it's time for us to stop complaining about the lack of representation, the forgetfulness that we have really results in our community. And I said, I'm going to be that change. And like I said, I stepped out on faith. I put my name on the ballot. I ran a wonderful campaign that was positive, and here I am now serving my community to the best of my ability. And me and Mayor Ford, as long as the other colleagues that I work with, we're making progressive change. So again, I just want to speak for everyone who has a dream, who has a vision, and want to be that change. Step out on faith, and you be that change that you want to see within your community.
Absolutely. Thank you, Vishandra. Dr. Gillum, what was your sole motivation for running for public office?
My sole motivation was about serving. I feel that I am a servant leader, and just being in the school, and again, being in schools of that were in need of improvement, but at the same time, being that voice of the African-American female. Also, when we're talking about school leadership, many times the African-American female or Hispanic females are the people who are leading these schools. And what happens is that sometimes we're given crumbs when we should get the whole loaf of bread. And I want to make sure that I am there and I'm the voice for our sisters, but at the same time that I'm the voice for the children. I've served the underdog always, and I always look to see what it is that we need. We have an achievement gap in Fort Bend ISD. We have truly the have and the have-nots, the east side and the west side. And there are times that programs are put into our schools that from the beginning, the principals in those schools can share, well, let's do it this way. And so I want to be the person that is going to serve, and it truly is a calling from God. I ran in 2016, I ran in 2017, and I'm back in 2020. So third time is the charm, and I truly want to be the voice of the community.
Thank you, Dr. Gillum. So my next question is regarding just as African-American women, what do you all see as challenges with running for public office? And do you feel like there's a greater level of scrutiny as African-American women pursuing office? Mayor Ford?
Yes, to put that very simply, yes. I'm actually, as mayor, barely completing my first term. I haven't even been in office. We only do 2-year terms. but it wasn't 30 days of me being in office and the criticisms came flying. The person that was here before me, my predecessor, was here for over 25 years to make changes. And I can assure you that the criticism that I heard in the first 90 days, the first 6 months, and even now wasn't probably half or tenth of what was given to him with him being in office for 25 years. You know, some of the things they're like, oh, she campaigned on revitalizing, you know, our major corridors. Yes, I did. And that is what I'm working on. However, you know, it hasn't even been 2 years and I was expected to change what had been in place for over 30 years literally in less than in 2 years. So I just find it completely amazing of some of the things that are put out there. It is very difficult for us because, like I said, you know, I came to the table with a master's in architecture, over 17 years of experience in community development, land development, urban planning. But, you know, the comment was still made that they only voted for her because she was a Black woman. And that was the only reason. Yet I can assure you, out of all, I'm the 11th mayor for the city. We don't have term limits. So, but I can assure you that of all the mayors that are on our wall when you walk into our city hall, I probably came in with more credentials than any of them. But, you know, I have probably gotten the most pushback from my, you know, community and even people who look just like me on, you know, my capabilities. So those are the challenges that we have coming in, and it's so important that we support each other.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor Ford. Dr. Gillum?
Yes, and yes, we do. It's much harder. And even before I talk about myself, I have to talk about Mayor Ford. And I have seen it, and it hurts. It hurts me to see what she has gone through, because I see words and I'm like, but do you understand that when we get into these positions, we automatically are at a deficit because everyone will just hit us and hit us and hit us. And they wouldn't do that with the man. They wouldn't do that with any other race of people other than when it comes to an African-American female. Mayor Ford has the credentials, and not only that, she has changed some things. And so in changing things, then she has her staff, the folks that are around the table right now, not supporting her. And so I have found myself in that same situation, and Mayor Ford and I haven't talked. And in the background, you know, I'm talking to different people, but it's not just, it's us too. It's us as other African-American women, to where we have to be very careful in how we speak and to find out the information. I have walked into campuses before to where, you know, my sisters and my brothers have issues because it's like, why are you here and why are you doing this? And so it's really hard for us. And when we go through, you know, there is in my research, it was all about, you know, the counterparts. Our counterparts, you know, they can go out and they can have something less, but let it be us that comes in. And then if we speak in a certain kind of way, if we don't address somebody, if we don't say good morning, and it's not necessarily that we just didn't do that. We were so intent on what was going on in our brains that we may have forgotten that. And sometimes we are just held to a higher standard, and it's just simply not fair. But at the same time, we still deliver, we still hang in there, and we're still going to give them 110%.
Thank you, Dr. Gillum. I want to shift gears a bit, Vashandra, unless you had something to add on this. I want to shift gears a bit and discuss voter mobilization, specifically in the county that you all are pursuing public office in, Fort Bend County, which has been the epicenter of just so much change. And we've witnessed just over the past 2 or 3 years, Black women ascending into leadership, you know, capacities, you know, municipal and county levels. And so I want to talk a little bit about what it's going to take to get folks out to vote, you know, at this juncture. A lot's changing in Missouri City, and there's a lot to be excited about, especially having elected its first African-American woman as mayor, I want to hear from you all just what it will take to get voters out to vote, namely those who have been a bit apathetic about the process. And so I will start with you, Councilmember Edwards.
For me, I think it's important for us to spread the word, not just by watching CNN, watching federal, any type of elections that are national, basically. It's important for us to spread the word with our friends and family when we're texting, having casual conversations, having a plan, encouraging our friends and family to vote, researching each candidate. I just had a forum the other day and people were asking me different questions that were out of my purview. So it just really was concerning for people to ask me questions about my leadership position, but not having the full background of what a city council member is, what a city council member position entails. So it's important for us to have the background information. So when we're having these casual conversations with our friends and family, I encourage each and every one of you to educate yourselves and your family on the position, what it entails, how it affects you locally, and just getting that conversation started and just having a plan. Maybe we can go have dinner after we vote and just talk about that and share some pictures and selfies. Social media is important. Social media has just pretty much been our platform for the last couple of years, but mainly because of the pandemic. So I just encourage everyone to utilize that, make it fun, and just share your experience. And hopefully someone will take away from that and just, you know, have that experience to travel on.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember. Mayor Ford, if you want to jump in.
As for getting our community mobilized, I think at this point, Trump has done that for us. A lot of people are angry, disappointed to see what has gone on. People who have never voted at this point are ready to vote now. But the challenge is getting people to the polls, not only to understand that there's a presidential election going on, but there's state elections, there's local elections going on, and then understanding the issues. I have noticed that my community will not take the initiative, not everyone, but a lot of them won't take the initiative to educate themselves on what's going on. The internet is great. I heard my colleague, Councilmember Edwards, say we've completely, especially in this pandemic, gone to social media. But I try to remind people all the time, there are no social media police out there. You can put whatever on the internet, whether it's true, it's false, it does not matter. But for some reason, people run with information that they've Googled and believe it's the Bible. You know, and I'm like, you have to go and educate yourself. Every document, everything we do in these governmental offices are public information. You just have to request it. And I know we're busy. We have lives, we have families, we have things to do, but you have to be an informed voter. I know there are a lot of people who voted for this past president who thought they were informed, and now they're like, whoa, I didn't know that. So I am encouraging people, you have to know.
So I think it's making sure that all of your family members have a plan to get there this week. So I'll just add that part.
Thank you. And I know we are just about at time, but I want to ask this final question and allow for you all to incorporate your closing remarks. Just why are the voices of African American women important in the civic and political process? And we'll start with you, Dr. Gillum. You're on mute, Dr. Gillum.
Can you repeat the question?
Why are Black women's voices so crucial and critical in the civic and political process?
We bring truth. We have soul. And one thing that you said from the very beginning, we are the most discriminated being on this planet. And with that, but we're the hardest working. And so what we bring to the table is we bring experience of all. We understand what hurt is. We understand what relationships mean and what they do. And so for us, that voice, our voice counts, but we don't just talk, we don't just carry ourselves. We carry the entire world. I believe we carry all women. We understand the men that we serve. We understand the children we serve. We are servants. We are servant leaders. And if you find anyone, when you're looking at the African-American female, you are looking at someone who will do whatever it takes to get the job done. You're not going to find harder workers. And that's pretty much, I truly just believe that that's just who we are. We come out and we work and we serve.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Gillum. Councilmember Edwards, why are Black women's voices so important in the civic and political process? And we'll close with you, Mayor Ford.
Black women are important in this process, and because basically we're the backbone. We have been the backbone historically for years, and we have proven that we can pretty much be triumphant in any situation. For me, I have learned to combat situations, multitask, and still lead with a smile, constantly being ridiculed for decisions that will benefit the community, but continue to lead with a smile. I also have a full-time job. I'm a mother, as well as helping my parents run their business. And so with that being said, if I can continue to go to every council meeting, represent the city to the best of my ability, that shows that the power that we have as a Black woman is just unmatched. We are hard workers, we're passionate, and we're able to outstand and outwork anyone that's actually come up to challenge us on anything. So I love being a Black woman. We have to have a seat at the table because we have to represent our sisters, our matters, our issues, our men, just our community. So that is why it's important for us to have a seat at the table in any type of civic platform. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Vashandra. Those are amazing, amazing words, very true words. That Mayor Ford, if you could please and close us out.
I will. In addition to what my two colleagues just said, I will say this. There's a saying, if we're not at the table, we're on the menu.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we have to be there to have a voice for us. When I first got on council, I was the only woman at the time, the fourth woman in the history of the city, and the only woman that was under the age of 40 at the time. Everyone else that was on that council was well over 40, if not in their 70s, and did not look like me. They were not making decisions that were beneficial to people who looked like me. And, you know, I was telling my colleague the other day, Councilmember Edwards, you know, I gotten really upset about a forum that we were on. And I said, you know, it's not just about us. It's about all the little girls that come after us. I was just like, we have to be a voice for them. We have to fight for them. Because if we allow this behavior, people will now say, oh, it's okay that we treat women, we treat Black women like this. So I have been very vocal, very verbal about, you know, ensuring that when, you know, we are wrong, that I speak up and let people know, hey, you're out of line. You're not going to do this. And I don't care who you are, because like I said, it's not just about me. It's about all the little Black girls that come after me to ensure that they don't have to experience what I've had to experience, what people before me have had to experience, so that we can have a seat at the table.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Mayor Ford, and thank you to all of our panelists. These women are literally changing the face of power in Fort Bend County, and they need our support. As mentioned, we need to vote up and down the ballot. We need to be encouraging individuals in our spheres of influence to do the same, to make a plan to vote, to print out their sample ballots, to be informed, educated, and intentional in their vote. And
Thank you, Shakira, and thank you to all of our incredible panelists for really speaking about the power of Black women and the role that we play in politics. I'm going to share a few videos from some of our candidates and elected officials, and then we'll move into our next panel.
Hi, I'm State Representative Sempronia Thompson, District 141. I'm in Northeast Houston, and I'm serving my 24th term in the Texas Legislature. I am the chairperson of Public Health, and in that committee, we take care of a lot of things, all the way from dealing with animals, food safety, health care in a variety of areas, medicine, doctors, hospitals, just a whole lot of things. And one of the things that we want to do is during this process is to make sure that we are passing laws that are beneficial and helpful to people, the ordinary people, just like you and I. I also want to talk to you just a little bit about why you need to make sure that you do your census information. It's not that we're trying to be nosy into your business, but this is why census is so important. You see, we get money back from the federal government that we sent up there based upon the larger population that we have down here in Texas. Here's what some of that money is for. We have families that need WIC programs for young babies. We have young children who need to be on children health insurance. We have persons who needs to go to the hospital but have no insurance. We call this indigent health care. We have people who need mental health services, sometimes outpatient services and sometimes in-hospital services. We have roads and bridges and streams and rivers. We have so many other things. And you know what? A lot of times I have my constituents say, why don't we have more stores in our areas that sell this or sell that? All that depends upon the population that we have. The bigger the population, the more opportunities that we can have a whole lot of things. So you see, by September the 30th of this year, if you haven't already, please get your information in, because we want to make sure that we get all of these services that we need. We need money for public education. We need money for higher education. We need money to train people to go and get better jobs and better opportunities. And we need to be able to take care of our senior citizens better than what we've been able to do so far. So it is very important that you and I make sure that all our friends, all our family members, make sure that they go and send back their census data. We only do it every 10 years, and this 10 years is very important. September the 30th is our deadline. Do it, and do it now.
Dr. Macklin's face.
State Representative-elect for House District 100. And obviously, I support what's been presented here today. But let me be clear. In the state of Texas and in this country, we are currently fighting two pandemics. And I believe that both those pandemics have been addressed by my colleagues today. We're fighting the pandemic of racism, and we're fighting the pandemic as it relates to COVID-19. What most people didn't realize is that there was always an overlap between the two. Right now, what we can do to start to heal this country is to at least work on the COVID-19 pandemic. We can start to bring some sort of closure and some sort of unity when it comes to the disparities that we consistently see that are plaguing our district. The disparities when it comes to healthcare amongst those that are from our Black community, those that are from our Black community. Right now, what we see is a government that has been reactive. proactive, and guess what? The Democrats have tried to be proactive in the state of Texas. We've tried to push bills such as this more than once, but the other side wouldn't listen. Now they're going to have to listen. Even if they don't have the moral courage to do so, we are in the midst of a budget crisis that we're walking into. And if for no other reason, they should side with us on this particular issue because we have a budget crisis. Thank you.
It's a dawn of a new day. Hi, everyone. My name is Dawn Deshay Rogers, and I am your Democratic nominee for the 334th Civil District Court. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am a native Houstonian and a proud graduate of Thurgood Marshall School of Law. I've been a civil trial litigator for the past 18 years, and I enjoy the courtroom. But more importantly, I enjoy people. I believe that being a judge is about procedures of the courtroom and understanding the law, but more importantly, it's about understanding people, the community. Early voting begins October the 13th through the 30th, and the big election day is November 3rd. I need everyone to go out and vote. And remember me, Dawn Deshay Rogers, as your judge in the 334th Civil District Court. It's a dawn of a new day.
Thank you to all of our incredible candidates for sharing some time, sharing some of their words today. Next, I have the great pleasure of introducing Dr. Rowena Macklin to speak a bit about the importance of health as it pertains to Black women.
Hi, Dr. Macklin. I'm going to jump in with you. Let me just give you just a moment of who Dr. Macklin is. So Dr. Macklin was my physician. She is in Fort Worth. She had a private practice and was really big in serving the community and making sure that Black folks had health care, and that she hired a staff that was full Black folks, and well, most times, but and then just, you know, really did a lot to serve the community. And I asked her to come on to talk about healthcare and how that looks for our community, and having her own small business, which, you know, the doctor's office and private practice, and kind of share with us reasons why healthcare is so important, voting is so important. And Dr. Macklin, if you could share a few words, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Tracy, I can't. Tracy?
Yes.
I can't hear.
Uh-oh. Nothing?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'll go ahead and speak.
Okay.
Okay. I'm Dr. Rowena Macklin from Arlington, Texas. And I've had a history of working in both the private sector in healthcare as well as in the public sector. So I've divided my comments into 3 to 4 categories that I think are issues in healthcare today. One, I would say, is big pharma, the big pharmaceutical companies. Our medications are overpriced. Some of the medications are made in other countries and sold to other countries much cheaper than we have here. And I'd like to speak particularly to the politicians to help them understand what the issues are, so we can maybe mitigate the problem and the effects of the problem, so that we can provide better access to our patients here. The second issue, I would say, is the insurance company. The insurance companies provide barriers to healthcare services, medications, and that kind of thing, which, right or wrong, I often say that insurance companies are in the business of not trying to cover things. And so what I have found, being in both environments, is that insurance companies create denials and require prior authorizations, which will often discourage you if you are the provider, especially if you don't have the resources and support staff to stay on the phone for 45, 50 minutes, what have you, to get a medication approved when it's an everyday medication that can be life-saving. The example I use is albuterol. Now, most of us have known someone or had to use albuterol, which is used as a rescue medication for asthma. Now, I've literally had companies, WellMed for one, and some others deny albuterol. And I often quip, and this is really not as fun as unfortunately it sounds, but I often say by the time the patient gets the medication, they're either going to be dead or better. Another medication like that is Lipitor. Lipitor is the #1 selling medication in America. And I've run into situations recently where I prescribed Lipitor and it was denied by the insurance company. Therefore, the patient has to wait longer and the doctor has to have someone spend the time to get it approved. In private practice, this not only delays the treatment to the patient, but it costs more. And as a business person and a provider, it was one of the things that made it difficult for me to survive in the private healthcare world was the amount of time and money I had to spend having someone take care of these issues. Sometimes up to 40% of our time was spent on paperwork. Okay, I wanted to cite some other examples if possible, mainly prolonging care and delaying what the patient needs unnecessarily is one of my other pet peeves. Another issue is deceptive advertising. We're in the time of the year where we have open enrollment. With open enrollment, we have advertisements that are deceptive. For example, I'm going to use some names and I hope that's okay, but one of them is Humana. Every year, Humana advertises on TV that they cover a myriad of services, and what they often say is wherever Medicare is accepted, and that's not true, because there are many private doctors, specialists, and hospitals that may not take Humana, that may not take Baylor Scott and White, and I could cite examples, but I will not do so today. But I think Tracy and I talked about a situation with healthcare the other day involving her sister. I've known people that were sick with stage 4 breast cancer in one hospital visiting their mother and had to be transported to another hospital because that hospital didn't take the insurance. But often older people and people who are not well educated don't know how to find the answers to select the best option for them. 100%, oftentimes 100% of this much is covered. And this is what I share with the patient, as opposed to something like traditional Medicare, which covers 80% of this much. But at least you have better coverage under all circumstances. It may not cover your dental, it may not cover your eye exam, it may not cover your membership to the gym, but it covers so much more if you find yourself in a situation where you need help and you don't need to have to wait for the provider to find a specialist who can help you for whatever your concern or issue is. I wish I could take questions today, but I am seeing the comments and I will look for questions on there if you have any. In the meantime, go ahead, Tracy.
Thank you so much, Dr. Macklin. Thank you. And I actually want to ask you to come back and we'll do something else and give you some more time to kind of talk a little further about that, because healthcare is so important. And, you know, we are struggling with that here in Texas, you know, having, you know, the most uninsured children, adults, and, you know, the denial to expand Medicaid, as you mentioned. So I thank you so much for coming on. Sarita is going to take us next into, I think,
Tracy.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Remember, I don't mean to be rude, but I still cannot hear you.
Oh, thank you.
Hi.
Okay.
But I'm seeing the comments here.
Okay. Okay.
Someone is saying, what is the best Medicare? Traditional Medicare at this point, traditional Medicare is the best Medicare. However, you have to make the patients aware that they will have a deposit and a copay. So then they have to find an appropriate copay to cover the other 20%. And then they have to find a medical healthcare plan. And I saw a comment from someone saying that those things that I mentioned were some selling points, and I agree 100%. So the best scenario would have an insurance plan that's as widespread as Medicare and also provide dental care and ophthalmologic care and sneakers? Why do we have to choose one or the other is really the question. Okay, so that was, I appreciate that comment because it reminded me and gave me the opportunity to explain, really it's not that I think one should be, the best scenario is to offer both. And just think, if we provided access to exercising to our patients, how much healthier they'd be. There'd be less diabetes, less hypertension, obesity, heart disease, and the gamut goes on. At the Tarrant County Health Department, Tarrant County Hospital District where I work, the first thing I asked the CEO for was aquatic therapy. The second was a sleep lab. But I've worked with aquatic therapy and I've seen the benefits to help with pain and some of these other things as well. Someone mentions the availability of healthy food. It's expensive to eat healthily. And I always like when I see some of these communities that have the neighborhood gardens, and we need to teach our neighborhood, encourage that in underserved neighborhoods or neighborhoods without access to grocery stores, which is a major issue here. Trace, I thought I might find that. I want to mention one other thing before I forget. I've put the blame on insurance companies, pharmaceutical companies, and the whole gamut. But there's some responsibility that lies with the provider. Just recently did my board exams, and there's a concept that I wish that all of us as healthcare providers, whether it's nurses, mid-levels, or physicians, understood and grasped. It's called choose wisely. We spend $30 billion extra a year on unnecessary testing. So I love this concept because what it's allowing us to do is to back off of things that are costing the patients more, and discourage the insurance companies for paying for. For example, we no longer do pelvic exams when we do a pap smear. We don't need to order a Lipitor every 3 to 6 months like I used to do. We could do it every 2 years if there's no reason to. And there are many other examples. So I encourage you to look at choose wisely, the approach that family practice is taking to have decreased costs for unnecessary testing and procedures.
Thank you so much, Dr. Macklin. Sarita?
Sure.
Okay,
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, hello, it's me again. I would like to take a moment to introduce one of our great candidates, Alyssa Simmons. Alyssa, if you could join us and just let us know a little bit about you and your work in Arlington. I think she might be having some technical difficulties. So while we get that figured out, I'm going to show her campaign video.
I have 2 experiences I think we need in the legislature. I'm Elisa Simmons. I worked as an administrator for the Tarrant County 911 district, where making government work was a matter of life and death. Now, I'm a small business owner. I've been fighting to make sure local businesses benefit from local and state contracts. It's the right thing to do. It's our money, and that's how we'll rebuild our economy after COVID.
Elisa Simmons for State Representative.
And now I have the great pleasure of bringing back up Shakira so that we can have a great conversation with Donna Brazile and Minion Moore.
I don't think Shakira actually had to leave, and we are going to, we're a little bit ahead of schedule now. Is Elisa still available? Is Elisa not on? Is she able to introduce herself? No? Okay. Dr. Braley, would you like to join us? I believe, yes. Okay.
Anything you ask, it's a village, it's a village.
Well, at this point, at this moment, we will jump ahead of schedule. And I am excited and thrilled to have with us today national strategists Mignon Moore and Donna Brazile. This is an honor to have you all in Texas, and this is as close as we can get. I appreciate your, and for those of you that don't know, both of these ladies are national strategists that really came to power through the Clinton administration and have done just tremendous things so far. Commentary on CNN. They are co-authors of the book For Colored Girls Who Have Considered Politics, which I encourage you all to read. I admit I have not finished, but it is powerful. It speaks to who we are as Black women and what can be accomplished when we join superpowers. I thank you so much, ladies, for being here. We will have a quick chat and then go on to asking. I have a few questions. We'll take a few questions from the audience. So if you take a moment just to say hi and introduce yourself right quick. Do you have a moment just to say that?
Sure. I'm actually going to go. Since I asked my colleague and good friend Donna Brazile to join me at the very last minute with her busy schedule, who I love, but I always trample on her. Say, come, go with me. I'm gonna defer to her, and I am going to give her the floor first, and then I will go after her. Thank you, Donna, for joining this prestigious call of Black and other women.
Well, Minnie, I'm back. Mignon and I took time out, hold on a second, to go to Utah this week. And as a result, I told Mignon that I was planning to spend my morning trying to get my house together. I don't want y'all to see my house. I know Black women have reputations and we're trying to uphold all of those wonderful traditions, but my house is a hot mess. And so I was in my living room trying to get everything working. And I noticed that I didn't have enough bandwidth, and I did not want this connection to be lost. So welcome to my other Zoom room. This is used to be my boudoir, but I had to change it to now the Zoom room because all I'm doing here is zooming. Well, first of all, let me just say good morning, Texas. Good morning, sisters. Good morning to all of you. And thank you for all of the good work that you're doing in the Lone Star State. And also, thank you for carrying on the tradition of so many wonderful, remarkable Texans. And of course, Barbara Jordan comes to mind. We are all part of that legacy of Black women who have taken our role as citizens seriously. We know what's at stake. We know that this election will be won or lost based on our participation because we are drivers of democracy. We are disciples of democracy. And so for those of you who have answered the call to serve, you are now part of the largest network of Black women in the history of this country. You are colored girls because you are answering that call to serve, to be at the table, to set the agenda, and to carry forth the legacy of Barbara Jordan and so many others. And so I just wanted to be a part of this conversation because I believe in you. And I know that the resources that you will need to bring us to victory in 23 days are on the way. Of course, we say it's on the way. It's Sunday. And of course, we know that help is on the way. But between now and Election Day, early voting, vote by mail, or getting those absentee ballots, we're going to have to increase our visibility because visibility is viability. We need you to be out there in the community. I know we are going to practice, as Mignon told me several weeks ago, COVID conscious canvassing, but we have to increase the visibility, whether it's through yard signs. I just had someone come and knock on my door and leave a leaflet. We have to ensure people, even during this pandemic, that we care about their lives and their livelihoods. And so this is that moment for you to lift up your voices. Yes, call into those TV shows, those community shows, Call into those radio programs. I don't care if it's AM and you don't think anybody listens, somebody's listening. And yes, make sure that you put the literature, the yard signs and materials out so people can grab and go. We know how to grab and go. So let them grab it and go. But the next 3 weeks, the next 3 weeks as we end this election season, your work is so vital to what we have to do all across the country. So Texas, I'm going to praise you. I'm going to already lift you up. And I'm also going to continue to say thank you, especially Harris County. You all know that 15 years ago this summer, when many people were leaving their homes, didn't know where they were going, many of them showed up in Texas, and you opened your hearts, you opened your wallets, and yes, some of you opened up your homes. And our folks are still there. So I want to thank you for everything that you do, not just in lifting up each other, but lifting up those who are often running away from storms. And when Harvey came through, I did the same thing. I opened up my wallet, I opened up everything I had, and I just sent it your way because we love you. So God bless you. God bless Texas. But God bless Black America as well. With that, I'll turn over the balance of my time to my good sister, my friend, my Shiro, the woman who often tells me to shut up because I have talked too much and she doesn't want to see me fired on national TV again. So my good friend, my Shiro, a woman who has steely shoulders, Mignon Moore.
See, this is, let me just tell you, this is the way to do a early morning Zoom. If you have to get woke up by Donna Brazile, because I don't know where she finds the energy, but my God, she pulls it. She pulls it through. Thanks, Donna, and thanks again for all your beautiful faces. I had the pleasure of just going through all these different links, and I see all these beautiful faces. I see the gentleman here, but I see all these signs, text assessor, judges, all of the different people that are running for office that have decided to serve at this particular moment, at this particular time. And I remember not too long ago, I was in Houston for the first debate. Actually, let me take that back. I was not in Houston, but my staff was in Houston. But what they did do is they sent me a picture of all the judges that had been elected. And I tell you the truth, I looked at that picture and I still have that picture, and I look at that picture and I look at the fact that Texas has already put themselves on the map. They have certainly put themselves on the map in one of the most crucial areas that will be on the ballot this year, which is criminal justice reform. And you all are always fighting to turn Texas blue. Trust me when I tell you, keep fighting, because I believe in my heart of hearts that you will be turning Texas blue. And the fact that you still don't give up. You know, everything that we believe that is near and dear to our hearts is really on the ballot this year. The Supreme Court is on the ballot. This week we go into it. In fact, tomorrow on Indigenous Day, we go into a hearing, you know, on the new nominee. That's on the ballot. The healthcare is on the ballot. That's the first thing the Supreme Court will take up when they come back. Everything that you can imagine that we believe in is on the ballot. I believe humanity is on the ballot. And obviously, as you know, we're all fighting for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to get that ticket, but we're fighting for Texas too. Because the one thing that Joe Biden said when he first announced, he did not want to leave any state behind. He wanted to make sure that all of our elected officials felt empowered, felt like we were going to make a difference from state to state to state. And so for me and Donna's been crisscrossing the country. She has not left a state unturned. If she can find a vote in Alaska, trust me, she going to Alaska on a Zoom, on a conference call, on something. So we have all adopted the Donna Brazile spirit. Let's go where we can find a vote. Let's go where we can help empower our sisters and brothers to continue to do the good work. We know that you all are doing great, great work. What I do encourage you to do is don't leave the young people behind. They want to be involved, but unfortunately, we have a generation of children that must be invited to the table. You know, they get invited, but do we include them? We invite them and then we forget to include them. So make sure you got them at the table, because what I try to tell people all the time, voting is not an event. It is a lifestyle. And we gotta keep telling our children, this is a lifestyle. But what you're doing this week, all of the conferences that you've been holding, all of the Zoom calls, you've lowered the barrier to entry. Invite them in and say, hey, have a seat. Oh, there's my judges. Have a seat at the table. I see Judge Deidre Davison. Put them judges up. That's just the delight of my heart. Took me off my game. But again, I say thank you for inviting us to be a part of it. Thank Carol wherever he is, and Lisa Mushaw, who helped pull this together for us, and Sarita. And thank you again, Tracy, for inviting us to be a part of this.
Thank you. So we have a tough question, and we have a tough question. So coming from the Bush-Gore administration, are y'all having flashbacks? Is this you feeling nostalgic?
Honestly, you know, this is so far, this is so beyond the pale of what we saw even in Bush-Gore. We know the legal implications of the decision. And when former Justice Scalia said that we have no right to vote because in this, we have a state right to vote, we have no federal right to vote. That's number one. But number two, the notion that we could not count every vote. We could not count the votes. The Supreme Court of Florida said, count all the votes, all 67 counties. And here, you know, well within the time frame for the Electoral College to meet, which was December 18, on December 12, the United States Supreme Court intervened and said, stop it, stop the count. Can you imagine that? And they used the civil rights statutes to do so. I'm not a lawyer by profession. I pretend to be one on TV, okay? And I've worked for some of the best legal minds in American politics. And every one of them, everyone agreed that this was an unprecedented case. And yet here we're faced today with the President of the United States of America. He has indicated that he will not accept the results unless he's the winner, and he may prematurely call the election before all of the votes are counted. He's already told the DOJ to go and intervene and look for voter fraud, which you have a greater chance of being hit by lightning than seeing someone commit voter fraud. By the way, who in the hell want to go to jail for voting twice? Come on, okay? So we need to be vigilant. Yes, I know we just won that ruling. I mean, Governor Abbott, I tell my friends, if your right to vote wasn't so important, why are they trying to take it away? I mean, first we had the Voting Rights Act where every 25 years we had to get a renewal. And now we don't even have the Voting Rights Act because they've stripped it of so many of its provisions. I'm grateful that Arnold Schwarzenegger, the former governor of California, is sending resources to states like Texas that would like to increase the number of polling places. Did y'all know that? They're making grants available. Schwarzenegger is making grants available. Mark Zuckerberg is making grants available. So if you know of a county in Texas or a jurisdiction in Texas or a municipality in Texas that have closed due to funding, there are 2 outlets right there that your community can apply for grants, and they will pay to open them up and to help administer, of course, with local people. So yes, are we having flashbacks? Look, I got rid of my hot flashes several years ago, but yes, I'm having flashbacks, okay? Not hot flashes, flashbacks.
The other thing though, speaking of that, what you can do, especially to get these young people involved, go to Power to the Polls. They are paying 16-year-olds and they're making sure that they're COVID safe, but they're paying, you can be 16 and up and you can go and watch, do not poll watching, but you can definitely go to the polls and help them out. So make sure the young people know that this is a way that they can get involved. Power to the Polls. It's .org, and it is a great organization, and they're all over the country. So that's another way that they can get involved. But I just want to echo what Donna is saying, especially since you all have so many judges and so many people that are actually, you got Black, white, Latino, Asian, you got everything at stake in Texas. It is one of the most diverse elections that you will probably ever see. Make sure we are protecting that vote. That is the most crucial thing, because what we will do is go in there and cast that vote. We'll come out. And I remember so well in 2016, we were getting calls from people saying, I punched the ballot, but it felt like it dropped. And I don't know if I really punched the ballot. Well, lo and behold, in Michigan, 30,000 people ended up not voting for president. That's a little bit unprecedented. You go into a ballot box. So they ended up losing by 10,000 votes.
That's right.
But 30,000 people ended up thinking they punching. So we have to be mindful. We don't know what type of voter fraud is out there. We know nothing. We know that Russia is around the corner. As Ms. Palin said, she could see it from her house. Well, we can see it in America right now. So we got to be really, really conscious this year. Don't just go and, make sure we got good people sitting there helping people, because they will try to turn people away as well.
And when you see misinformation or disinformation on the internet, on social media, whether it's Twitter or Facebook, there will be hundreds of people pretending to be quote unquote Black, pretending to be Black women, telling people, oh, election day is over. Or, some of the most insidious stuff I've heard is that this election doesn't really matter because they can't really change anything, and they're both bad people. So make sure that you take a screenshot of that and send it to Facebook and Twitter. We have placed a lot of pressure on these social media platforms. Instagram is owned by Facebook. I can't give you all them other TikTokers and all that other stuff. Everything that Al Gore invented when he created the internet. But here's what I can tell y'all. They are coming after, you know what Kamala said the other night? They're coming after, they're coming for you. They're coming for you. They are coming for us, okay?
That's right.
They're coming for our health care. They're coming for jobs. Black women have lost more jobs during this pandemic than ever before. We have lost so much, and we will lose so much more if we lose the Affordable Care Act. So they're coming for us. They're coming for our vote. They're coming for our power because they know our political power. When elections are won on the margins, I mean, right now, Joe Biden and Donald Trump are 48-48 among white men. Seriously? But Joe Biden is leading Trump by 22 points among women because of Black women. Because guess what? We are the foundation of this Democratic victory. And so we have to know our power. We have to utilize our power. And we got to tell people the power to vote is the power to have a voice in the room at the table. You can't even bring in a plate of food unless you got a table. And you can't have a table unless you have a room. And so this is why we participate. This is why I'm up on a Sunday, believing that when I see the results, y'all know I'm going to be on Fox. I'm going to look so good. I'm the silver fox. I'm going to look so good on election night. I'm going to be praying to Jesus.
Y'all needed this dose of Donna this morning.
Those 38 electoral votes. We need y'all. We need y'all. We need you. You know, when my mom and my daddy used to save up their little nickels and dimes, there were 9 of us. And every summer of my childhood, until Michael Jackson showed up, every summer, we came to Houston to the Astrodome and Astro World. Every summer. I tell you, when Michael Jackson, I went to my mom, I was 15, and said, please, can I not go to Astro World? I finally stopped coming to Texas. But my entire childhood was built on coming there for sports and entertainment. Now, if I can believe in Texas all these years, and y'all believe in yourselves, because y'all got some badass sisters there. Y'all got some badass judges. Y'all got some badass elected officials. Y'all show y'all badasses to the whole world on election night. And I will do I will flip my hair and shake my butt. Flip it like Diana Ross and shake it like Tina.
I watched Donna's been on Fox for I don't know how long now, a year or so. I watched
A
it
year
for
and a
the
half.
first time.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
I watched it for the first time on debate day because I wanted to see what the enemy was saying. So
Then the
I
opposition.
got all the talking points that we needed to make sure we had a good debate off of Fox.
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to go on Fox. I said, you know what, before they come at us, I'm going to be right there to stop them. Because when they came out of that debate, they say, well, she's not likable. I said, wait a minute, she's not trying to marry you. When a man is assertive, you call him a strong leader. When a woman is assertive, you said that she's condescending and arrogant. I said, when she started this rate, you call her arrogant. Now you're calling her condescending. Why don't you just call her smart and wise? Okay,
Right.
that she has the qualifications to lead this country. Stop this. She ain't trying to marry you. Y'all just sit down and let her speak. Like she said, can I speak? Ooh, y'all know I've been impersonating. I've been impersonating Kamala.
I'm speaking. Yes, I'm speaking, Mr. Vice President.
Look,
Yes.
y'all, someone in the comments said Mignon Moore and the Silver Fox. I'm just saying, if you want to take this show on the road,
But wait a minute. As long as I can get that fly off of Pence head, because I'm representing the fly. Would y'all like the fly to come? Fly.
I'm like, what is that? What is that? Damn.
Y'all know what that is? That's the devil. Y'all know Beelzebub? That's the devil. Y'all know what that is. Y'all
Middleburg,
know
how did they get you to come on this call this early in the morning? Middleburg, you have been privileged to come into a call with all these women. How?
Mignon invited me, y'all. Let me tell y'all something. I was gonna spend my Sunday morning in my garden because y'all know my peppers and my tomatoes are ready. I'm gonna make me some succotash, and I was gonna spend my Sunday morning the way I normally spend it, go and do this and that. But then Mignon said, "What you doing?" I said, "Nothing." She said, "Texas." I said, "I got something." Look, I even took a shower and put on some good clothes and earrings. I'm good.
Yes.
Oh no, she does. I have to admit she had, because you know Donna, you can tell, you can call her at the last minute on some things, but Texas she really has a love and an affinity for. This is the first turnaround I've had. Trust me, this ain't likely.
Sometimes I ignore Mignon. I said, I ain't doing that. I'm not even gonna respond. She said, Texas. I said, what time?
Look, and Texas truly appreciates it.
Yes.
I am originally from Houston. All of my summers are at Astro World, and I think I have a few scars to prove it. But I truly am loving this conversation and the friendship that y'all have, and thinking about that, and especially someone who is at the beginning of my career. This is a topic that I'm very passionate about and would love to hear your thoughts on. How do y'all, or what are your thoughts about creating that women network? Dr. Braley calls it the sister circle, the friendship and the collaborators to really have those folks to lean on and remind you just who you are in those moments.
Well, I want you to start.
Well, Donna and I, and we're formerly known as the Color Girls, but we actually were fortunate. We had very, very strong Black female mentors. We also had very, very strong, and I know Mr. Stittelberg will be happy that he's in this group, we had very strong white male mentors as well. I mean, we were really, really fortunate, but in fact, our female mentors were the ones that kept us going. It was Reverend Barrow, it was Dr. Height, it was Mrs. Coretta Scott King, it was Dr. Betty Shabazz, it was Maya Angelou. So we had a foundation that would keep us grounded no matter what. I think the challenge that a lot of the young people coming into the process right now is their relationship is with their computer. Relationship is not with Sister Tracy or Sister Chantel or Sister Carla. Their relationship is with their computer, and they believe that that's the way to form it. So I will say the first thing you need to do, Sarita, is make sure you are building relationships with women that you trust, that women that can guide you. And I say, envision a ladder, and you look at that ladder. Take every rung of that ladder that you can, because the minute you miss a step, see, the computer causes you to miss a lot of steps, because you can get infamous, you can get famous. Listen, Donna Brazile didn't become a TV commentator because she didn't study. This girl studies. 2 days she studies. You know, we are all political practitioners because we have people that we still go to that are smarter than we are, that are wiser than we are. There are women on this call that we could probably pick up. Like I think I saw Ursula in the chat room. This woman is brilliant. There's nothing we can take away from her that will make us smaller. I want that type of knowledge. And so I say to young people, get all the knowledge you can from these young women and take your place beside them. And you want them to stay in front of you because you ain't gonna take these bullets. I'm telling you, these bullets come. So you'd better get on the side. So I'll yield my time to Donna after this.
Well, Mignon is absolutely right. We had some of the best mentors in American politics, and that's one of the reasons why we mentor others.
Yeah.
Because our job early on in life was to listen to those who were still in the midst of helping to create change. And so I'm lucky because I had a chance to work for not only Shirley Chisholm, but Coretta Scott King. Coretta Scott King, and helping to make Dr. King's birthday a holiday. She gave me an opportunity. I was a 22-year-old kid right out of Louisiana State University, coming to Washington, D.C., not with any money, any connections, but once I got connected, and once she allowed me to be part of that circle, I have never looked back. And I learned so much working for Mrs. King about the importance of relationships, the importance of knowing your history, the importance of being humble in this process. And I am gratified that over the last 40 years, I've been out here for 40 years in the national. I've worked on, I've been involved in every presidential cycle since 1980. I've worked on 56 congressional, that's senatorial and congressional. And of course, the presidential campaigns that Mignon and I have worked on. I didn't just talk the talk. I went out there and I learned from the very best, the very best. And so we have to understand that these relationships that you are developing now, they are only as strong as you make them. And the bonds that you are creating, they're only as strong as you will allow it to be. But we have to mentor others. We have to bring in this next generation. Some of my friends say, Donna, why do you teach at 2 colleges? Well, last week I taught at 3. In addition to Georgetown and Howard, I did an event at the Harvard Institute of Politics. I did that because I wanted to give back to Harvard for everything they've given me. I do it every week. I talk on the phone. And when I finish this call, I'm going to be on a call with HBCU college presidents, the student body presidents, because I'm helping them to organize a virtual homecoming. Now look at me, a virtual homecoming. I didn't even go to a Black college. But you know what? I love the bands, I love the music, and I love what they were doing academically speaking. My siblings went to a Black college. I had an opportunity to go to LSU, and it was a free tuition. Y'all know my body got me in. Ooh, sexy mama. But my brains got me out. My brains got me out. I got one of those scholarships, right?
Yeah, them knees are bad right now, though.
Look, I could bat it, I could throw it, but look, in my junior year, I said, hey, let me let this body rest and let me get my butt out of this school because I got things to do. So these relationships matter, friendships matter, because when the day is darkest, when the night is long, you can pick up that phone and Mignon's up. When Mignon was at the White House, I was on Capitol Hill. I got my butt home at 10:30. She got her butt home at midnight. I didn't go to bed until she got home. And we talked every day because we had an inside outside strategy.
That's right.
An inside outside strategy. And I got to tell y'all this.
Because Donna used to remind me, now I'm sitting up in the White House, she used to remind me, we're co-equal branches of government, my dear.
Co-equal branches.
I know y'all can't tell that right now because the branches of government seem to be in collapse, but there are 3 co-equal branches of government.
And Trump has taken the third one, the judicial, and starting tomorrow, y'all going to see how they didn't pack the court. And now they want to find out if Joe Biden and Kamala's going to pack the court. Well, hell, y'all done packed it, okay?
Right.
Because that's what they do. But we need to be smart and strategic about how we utilize and leverage this political power. Know, it doesn't matter who's sitting in the State House or even the federal government. We got to make sure we have an inside, outside strategy. Now, before Omarosa got kicked off the, whatever you want to call that, down the street from my house, we kept in touch
Black
with our
Lives Matter
Vanessa.
Plaza.
Right. That's right. Black Lives Matter Plaza, which is a hot spot now. You know what I'm saying about a hot spot, right?
Yes,
Y'all know
hot
it's hot.
spot. Mhm.
What COVID.
The block is hot.
It's
Mhm.
hot. It's a hot spot. I ain't even going down there. I think there's a whole big bubble around them. But we had an inside outside strategy. We got to make sure that just because you might be of this affiliation or that affiliation, we have to understand what it is we're called to do for our people. I'll say this and I'll let Mignon, I'll give her back the balance of my time. Mignon and I also serve on the rules committee. Oh yeah.
Let's see.
We help write the rules.
Mm-hmm.
And we fight for the rules that Fannie Lou Hamer and Jesse Jackson helped to create.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get here, y'all, because we look good, and although we are good, we didn't get here because, you know, we had on the bright and the best color. No, we got here because we knew who made a way out of no way,
right.
and we have kept that door open. That door allowed Barack Obama to serve for 8 years, and we gave him 8 years. And if we can't give Kamala 8 years, hello, what the hell are we doing? This is power that we have, we can utilize, and we can leverage. And if we do this, we could do this for our people. Let me tell you something about the next 8 years. I ain't playing with this executive order business, because you know that's like putting flour in the oven without making a dough.
You can turn them over.
We are going to get laws passed. We're going to strengthen our political, social, and economic footing in this country. And of course, with you sisters, we're going to strengthen our legal foundation, because this man has tore up every tree he could.
We must get that Senate back. We have to get that Senate back. So if y'all got friends in other states where we got competitive Senate races, please tell your people to get out to vote. Please.
Please. Yeah, MJ, look, I didn't even know, I knew Royce West. I didn't know MJ. I went ahead and sent her $100. Y'all know, and I'm sending some other people there. Look, I didn't know her. I really didn't. Y'all know I know all y'all circles in in Texas, California too. I know all the circles in Texas. Didn't know her. But I tell you one thing, she'll be better than Cornyn. Cornyn, she'll be better than Cornyn. Okay, I didn't say it. I didn't say it. Didn't know MJ. Okay. And I've been to Texas for Annie's List and everybody's list. Ain't never met her. But that's okay.
You know, we were trained by Hazel Obey, y'all. Now, y'all remember Hazel Obey, don't y'all?
Oh, my God. She was part of our circle.
Oh, yeah.
This is God bless her. So I just learned my cousin, as we've been on this phone, I learned my cousin, the former vice president of the American Federation of Teachers, Nat LaCour, passed away. So I'm going to call his family and give them my condolences. Nat has been a national leader with American Federation of Teachers.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is that moment in our lives, folks. It's hard. Yep. All of us, it's hard. We're away from our family. We're away from our loved ones. And I just want everybody to know that we have to stay prayed up. Just stay prayed up. This is a battle. This is a battle.
Thank you for that, Donna. We surely cherish this conversation. I didn't even want to get in because it was just so good, but we are praying for you. I don't know if you're going to remain on the call because I know you have to get with your family as well. We have served together with the DNC and welcome you to Texas anytime, and we'll be lifting up you and your family in our prayers and look forward to seeing you. Maybe you can even join us next week with our Women Winning Texas conversation that's happening with part 2 next week. And
as long as I have breath in my body and a good bottle of wine at night.
Well, you're gonna have to tell us you're gonna have to tell us what kind of wine you like. We're gonna have to get a bottle of wine of her, Tracy.
Oh Lord,
just say this. I'm a Christian woman. What was Jesus' first miracle? He turned water into wine.
Here she go, y'all. Okay, see, here she go. This is her favorite story. Go ahead, Donna. I'm just gonna let you go.
He listened to his mother and he got the party started. So I'm a Christian woman. How dare you deny Jesus that glory? So yes, I do drink a good Cabernet. I've upgraded from Boone's Farm, Strawberry Hill, Wild Irish Rose, White Lightning.
God, today.
I am into good cabs, okay?
Lord Jesus.
What a
Y'all, will
delight,
y'all
what a
thank me? Hey, Tracy would and Sarita, will y'all thank me later?
Yes.
Oh,
We
this is
thank you
just,
now. Right.
Tracy, if I had missed this one, you would have gotten in trouble. The village would have come after you on this
Listen,
one.
I would have
This
been
is just-
mild-mannered and just trying to answer your questions. She done turned the whole thing upside down.
Well, do y'all have any questions? Because y'all know I gotta get to my cooking, y'all. I gotta get to my cooking. Y'all know all you Black women in this phone know, and everybody else. Y'all gotta get your cooking going on because by 5 o'clock you're done. The kitchen is closed. The food is done. The kitchen is closed.
Well, I don't have that issue.
Donna, and I have a quick question. You all have been around, like, while paths have been created for you, you've continued to make paths for others. I have a real easy question because some of the women on this call, including myself, you know, while we're doing some things, others are just starting to do some things. How do you stay in this game? How do you stay in this game alive, still happy, still gardening, still waking up on fire, with fire in your belly? How do you stay in it?
Minnie, you want to start?
No, go ahead, because I don't garden or cook.
You know,
that's not my favorite. Wait, Carla, that's not my favorite pastime. So I'm just going to tell you. You were not talking to me.
But you have some things you do too, me.
I do.
But you know, I have that deep connection to our history.
Mm.
That unfailing, remarkable line of especially women. I was when I was in Utah last week, I kept thinking about Harriet Tubman. I'm like, you know, come on, y'all, Utah, Mignon and I doubled the Black population the moment we arrived. And when Kamala got there, damn, it was like, shoot, come on. And you're sitting there in Utah and you're looking out at the mountains, right? And you're thinking, how did this woman get the courage to keep going and keep going and keep going? And when you read her journey, when she said, when you hear the dogs, keep going. When you see the light, keep going. She said, if you have a taste for freedom, you keep going. When I read her, I know that I am part of that same tradition. When you read Zora Neale Hurston and she says, if there's fear in your life, get a broom and sweep it off your porch.
That's right.
And then when you read Toni Morrison and she says, if they shape your narrative, they tell your story and they will not include you. If they shape your narrative and tell your story, they will not include you.
For yourself.
And so, and Maya, I mean, I can go on and on and on. You know, I told Cicely Tyson years ago, Mignon was there, and I said, Cicely, you know, when I grow up, I want to be an actress. She looked at me and she said, I don't know why. You should continue to do what you do, okay? Because I saw in Cicely Tyson, you know, when she played that woman named Moses, I said, ooh, you know, we don't have to play these roles anymore. We are Moses.
That's right.
We are Harriet. We are the sojourners. We are the people that God intended us to be. And God has supplied all of us with an equal measure of this strength, this courage, this vision. And all you have to do is tap into it. God is available. You don't even have to dial up God no more. The Holy Spirit is with us. We just got to tap into what God has given us. And God has given us a spirit of courage, a spirit of faith that we keep marching. And when I get down, and I do get down, I read that 27th Psalm, the Lord is my light and salvation, whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life, whom shall I be afraid? When my enemies come before me, they shall stumble and fall. When I get that spirit of fear, I knock that fear out. And when I feel like I got to stand up and take my seat, I read Esther. And if I read Esther, excuse me, ladies, I will cuss your ass out. Get out my way. Get out my way.
I don't know how she connect us, Esther, to cussing, but she gets there. She gets there.
Well, y'all know.
We understand.
I'll put a bone in my mouth and then cuss you out. Cuss you good. I once went into a room and I said, have I cussed anybody out here today? No. Must be a good day. Must be a good day. I will cuss you out. Okay? I'm tired of this. So If you're not, I used to tell brothers in the campaign, Mignon and I worked on a campaign, and we ain't gonna give his name because he's a nice man now. And we used to say, if you're not gonna put the dashiki on, get out the way. Get out the way. Get out. Because we got work to do. Our children are languishing and they're going to fall further behind. If that's not going to get your ass up, what's going to get your ass up? Our people are starving and they can't find jobs. If that's not going to get your ass up, then what's going to get your ass up? All right. We got a president who don't give a damn about any of us. So I'm going to give back to my community until I am told my day is done. And y'all know there's going to be some good ass wine when I get up where I'm going. Hallelujah.
Cabernet.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Okay, a minute. I'll get back to the bottom of my phone.
I think we can go to the next question.
So the next question is actually for you, Mayan.
Okay.
And this is a closing question. It's just, you know, for humor. What does it look like to pack up the White House?
Oh.
So when it shuts down, what does that look like? What, you know, are people walking out with boxes? I mean, you know, how does that work? What happens?
Well, for me, you know, it was interesting because I was really, and I know this might sound bad, but I was so ready to go. And I kept going from office to office and I kept saying to people, are y'all gonna leave this place at any time? You got to go. So you really do. It is like packing up boxes. It's like moving out, you know, before you do the packing of boxes, obviously you have a transfer of power. You got, you know, GSA, once it's a winner declared, you got to start these transition memos and you do all that stuff. But you walk around the White House, you try to figure out, okay, what can you take with you that's not considered stealing? Do you take M&Ms? Do you take, you know, like little napkins? Do you take souvenirs? Anything that is not considered stealing, you are probably trying to figure out a way to put it in your box and walk out. Then you simply walk out, you know, the Oval Office is open. If the president is sitting down there, you can go down there and say your final goodbyes. It's no meetings you have to set. People are just kind of walking around. It's kind of somber. In some instances, it's somber. In most instances, people are just done. They're ready to go. They're ready to turn over the keys. But, you know, I tell you, in our instance, it was such a tragedy, and Donna knows this, that, you know, you didn't get any closure. And I think that's the same thing that happened in 2016. We don't have any closure to that 2016 race. So people are still trying to reclaim that space where we know we won that election in 2016, but we got robbed. Every Democratic election that we won, we've gotten it stolen from us. So now once we can, you know, I think once we can finally get the White House back, if we can get it back, I pray that we can get it back, then people, you know, first of all, let's talk about going in. That's the joy, not coming out.
Can I, Mignon, can I add something?
Uh-huh.
Okay, first of all, get your broom.
Lord, she got set. Oh, get your broom. Oh,
get your
well,
broom.
listen, you got
sweep that. We're going to sweep all of that trash out. Going to sweep them out. Sweep them out. Secondly, get your disinfectant wipes, okay? Lysol disinfectant wipe. Don't touch nothing.
Those are mine. You were supposed to bring me some.
I know, minute, but you know. All right. Third, spray around the perimeter.
You're supposed to bring me some of that too.
Spray.
Okay, now she's hoarding. Stop it.
Hold on.
She's hoarding.
Some Pine Sol. Don't go to nobody's bathroom. Get that Pine Sol, that real good stuff.
Wait a minute.
All right. And one more. Hold on. And then now with pins.
Hello. Now she got a fly swatter. Get the flies out at the vice president's office.
Pop them. Okay, that's how you leave the White House. You go in there with some spray, because y'all know they funky. Y'all know they funky.
We got to get that whole place has to be. Listen, but the truth is, in this environment, you don't even know if you can really go in on January 20th. In this environment, that is a very real possibility that you might not be occupying that place in this environment.
Oh no.
GSA. Thank you. The General Service Administration gonna have to fumigate that place.
Well, and not just that, it all depends on where we are with COVID when we get to January, if we win. If we win, we still might be on leave at work from your home. It could be a very interesting transition. very interesting, and that's serious. It's
Oh, that's
very,
very serious.
Nobody's really thought.
As usual, Mignon raised a serious point. It is true. But
Yeah.
I do believe that we're going to have to defog it. We're going to have some of these experts. And
No,
and
I'm
being
with you on
cleaners.
that though, because it's an old building. It's an old building.
Hell of old building.
And the air
we
filters
don't
are
know
bad.
what Melania put in the Rose Garden when she got out there. I think they're gonna have to call me. And I'm gonna have to bring my dog, who's a sniffer. And we're gonna have to figure out if there are any Russian
Her
bugs,
dog
some
named
termites.
Zora.
Zora, after Zora Neale Hurston. Of course, the dog got to be black and be black like me. You think I want a dog in here that don't understand her history? I found her at the shelter. I told her if she don't behave, she will go back to South Carolina, go back to the shelter, and I will pack up her bones. Okay? She's a
Don't
good
be
girl.
talking
She's
about
Russian.
Zora like that.
Because she loves Mignon. When Mignon's called me, she comes and sits on the sofa like, that's my friend. I don't know why Mignon didn't adopt me. I got the one who just don't treat me like a real dog. I'm like, look, let me tell you something. You watch that Purina dog shot on TV. This is not the kind of house you're going to jump on the sofa with nasty paws. Go back outside, wash your feet, and come on in. Okay, yeah, that's what I got.
It's so silly.
Lord, would y'all let me
Fumigate,
back? 'Cause
Lysol.
Y'all know.
Oh,
Y'all know.
Every time.
I am a color girl from the great state of Louisiana. I love y'all. If y'all need me, y'all call me. Even if you don't need me, call me, because you never know what I might be up to.
Yeah, you already know.
We know you do lots of good trouble. We want to be
good trouble. There you go. Good trouble.
Good
Now,
trouble.
y'all
So we can have
remember,
your back.
y'all
Texas had
remember
your back,
when black women vote, we win. Don't forget
Yes.
that.
Y'all don't
that.
forget. They don't
Thank you
call us
so
Stormy
much.
for nothing.
Thank you so much, ladies. Oh my gosh, this has been a wonderful morning. And you're right. I didn't know it'd be this much fun. Woo!
Yes.
I was just going to ask the questions and they would just, answer the questions. And, this has been like a variety show with, purpose. So I'm really at
please
awe.
contribute. Someone says,
So-
let's make sure we donate. I understand that there's a pack. Somebody will send me that information. And
Yeah,
yes,
put-
I will
send
send you
us
my
the link.
last $100. I'm going to send y'all my last $100. Look at me how I'm
Okay.
crying. I'm sending y'all my last $100. I'm going to send y'all
Well,
Donna,
it
I've
looks
been
like we're
begging
gonna
her
get
to
a
get to
donation.
They say I give too much. I've been begging them to get to 250. Come on, get a people 250 at least. Good
Then
God.
y'all, you want me to give them 250?
Yes,
250?
at
250?
least.
All right, I'll give y'all 250. Okay?
God.
Y'all better
And Tracy,
spend my
that's
money
250
well,
and
because
250
y'all know
sound like
That's
they got
250.
five
y'all
on
know
it.
that's
Okay, and this is a
I got five on it.
hello. This is Texas. Anybody auctioneer?
I'm sending y'all some good money.
I mean,
This is
Not even a
Texas. Is
hot
anybody
dog.
an auctioneer out there? We
got
can
people
start
to
matching this.
elect.
Let's start matching it.
Seriously, can I
I
ask
do
a
feel
question?
like Donna Mignon can give 250. Everyone else on this call can give too. So
That's
Yes.
right.
hey,
Can I ask
that's
a
a
quick
good one.
question? How are the elections looking for some of your electeds out there? Anybody on the bubble that we need to shout out?
Yes, FEMA's. Oh, Tracy, I'll let you do that. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say Stacey Williams, who's running for the Texas Supreme Court.
Okay.
Yes. Elizabeth Frizzell, who is running for the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. And then Dr. Braley. We also have the House seats.
Okay.
That'll help us split the House. Retta Bowers, Elisa Simmons.
And SEMA.
Kiki Williams.
Yeah, SEMA in Houston is.
And Akila
Can somebody
Basin.
send us the list of folks so we can
Yes,
make sure
ma'am.
that
Yes,
we
because
get
we
it
want to
in
lift that up and we want to get it out to
Yes.
donors and others, okay?
Yeah.
Because look,
Yeah.
we understand. Everybody, Paul Begala is one of my good friends, and Paul always tell me, Texas. I say, all right, baby, I got you, okay?
Yes.
I'm gonna send this to Paul because Paul raises money, so I'm gonna tell Paul what Mignon and I are putting in so he can double, okay? Hello?
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
So we can get it
Right.
out. And we
Okay.
can get it out on our call tonight too.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
we have a
definitely do
call
that right
tonight.
after this. Yeah, we'll wrap up and you'll have your email. I'll step
Okay.
out. So yes. So thank you so much again. I know, y'all have gone over, so I really appreciate that. I know we all do. I said that we'd take questions, but I'm hoping they answered everything. If not, this has been delightful. I'll include them in my email if you want to email me the questions and we get a response later.
Okay.
So thank you very much, ladies, and
Thank
take
you.
care.
It's been a
And
joy.
God bless you all. God
yes,
bless
God
you.
bless
Remember,
you too. God bless
and
you.
remember Harriet Tubman. Keep going.
Keep
Keep
going.
going.
That's
Bless
my
you.
message for the morning. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye,
ma'am.
sisters.
Bye, see ya.
Bye-bye.
Well, I am truly inspired. I don't know about you,
Tracy, that was the biggest treat ever. Like, had I missed this call and someone had to tell me about it, I don't know what I would have done. Like, I've been wiping my eyes.
I was
started
trying not
wiping
to get
for
my
a while.
own tissue. Okay,
Right.
I got the
Hey,
tissue right there. I
on a
was
Sunday
holding
morning
on.
to have tears come out your eyes because
Yes.
you've had such a this was just a magnificent time. I mean, what a treat. That was such a treat.
This really was.
You know,
I'm
keep
so
going.
I'm
Got a
so in awe.
message?
Yes, that's the message from that message actually meant for me. That was good though.
Supported by Psalms 27. I mean, we just
Yes.
went to church.
Okay, right.
Well, Dr. Braley, you gave us the invocation at the beginning.
Oh,
And then
man.
we got into the sermon right now. And before
That
we bring it
energy
on
is
home,
real, Sarita.
look,
Because we ended with a donation. Then we,
Right.
then did
we
the
passed the
lesson.
plate.
Pass the plate. Yes.
Look, Black Women's PAC knows how to do an event. And as we continue to keep things going, I want to take a moment
Where are
to
we?
bring up some of our candidates. We're gonna talk with some candidates,
Yes.
some of which we just named out. As folks may or may not know, we need 9 seats to flip the House. 9 seats, y'all. And we can do it. We can get our judges elected so that we have a system that actually supports us and does not actively target us. We've got Black women running for sheriff in places out in East Texas because Black women have said we are tired of being the victim to this system that does not serve us. And so with that, I am going to start with candidate Judge Monica Purdy. Judge Purdy, are you on the line?
I'm here. Can you hear me this morning?
Sure can, coming in loud and clear. Look, Donna got me real hype. I'm very excited. I would love to take a couple minutes though, just so folks can hear about you, your campaign, and why you're so passionate about what you're running for.
Great, great. Well, all I can say is that following that particular pair, it was so inspiring, and I'm so glad that I was here to hear that. But I am Judge Monica Purdy, and I am running for the 95th District Court, which is located here in Dallas, Texas. I am a graduate of Spelman College and Thurgood Marshall School of Law. I have over a decade of judicial experience. I also have been practicing civil litigation for the majority of my legal career. I'm serving currently as an associate judge in our civil district courts, which means I have been appointed to that particular position. I support 7 of our 13 courts. There is a judicial evaluation poll that is conducted by the lawyers appearing in that court, the Dallas Bar Association, and I am proud to say that I have consistently ranked among one of the top 3 judges here in Dallas County, even though I've been serving by appointment for the past 7 years. The particular seat that I'm running for, it originally was an open bench. The judge that was in that particular seat won his election to the Court of Appeals. He ran for that before his term ended. And our very nice governor just appointed my Republican opponent to that seat at the end of July in the middle of a pandemic. My opponent has never served as a judge before. He has been defeated the last 8 election cycles here in Dallas County, and I'm hoping to defeat him again on November 3rd. There is no one else in this race that has the on-the-job training that I have. I have been doing this job for the last 7 years, and I am passionate to step up and serve in an elected capacity because I know it's important to keep our courthouse doors open, even for those that don't think it's open to them. And I want to ensure that justice is continued to serve in this court, which is the reason why I'm running. I did put in the chat room my campaign for those that want to go to my site, judgemonicapurdy.com. I'm asking for donations. I'm asking for your vote. I'm asking for your support. And the only thing that I can say to sort of close that up is when you get tired, just keep going. And that's what I'm going to do until I get to Election Day. So thank you for having me. Again, Judge Monica Purdy, 95th District Court.
Thank you so much, Judge Purdy. And if you want to drop your link again in the chat, just to make sure folks have it and can see it, we would so appreciate that. I know we've got a few other candidates here on the call, and so I want to give folks an opportunity to say hello, to introduce yourself, make sure that the people watching know who you are and are ready to vote. First, I see Judge Deidre Davis. If you would like to say a few words.
Hello, 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 ladies. Hello. This has been such a fabulous, wonderful forum. I have been in here hollering. Thank goodness you didn't take me off mute. It would have been embarrassing. I have been having such a wonderful time. I am very happy to say that right now, I am not a candidate. I am one of the 19, which 17 of the Black Girl Magic that you put on the bench when you voted in 2018. So I am not on the ballot. I'm just a Democrat who's very concerned and interested and want to make sure that we have democracy ring. So I am going to go ahead and yield my time. But wonderful job to the PAC. Tracy, you've done a wonderful job. And everybody, let's just keep fighting and keep working. And thank you very much. But no, I'm not on the ballot, but I do support everyone, and I will be on the ballot in 2022. So thank you. And Sarita, every time you are on a forum, you blow it out the water. You are spectacular with a beautiful smile, a beautiful face. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I truly appreciate that. And yes, we want to hold space for our elected officials as well as our candidates. So like I said, I want to take a moment. If you want to put it in the chat, if you want to say hello, make sure that folks know who you are and how they can support. I think I see Judge Frizzell. If you would like to take a moment.
Wait, let's not do Judge Frizzell just yet.
Okay.
I think we're going to have a little conversation with Judge Frizzell about her race and a little bit more. Is there any other candidates that are in the audience that might want to jump up and talk about your race? Look, here's Mary Ellen Hicks is here. She's running for judge in Tarrant County. Can we unmute you? I want to make sure that I get Tarrant County in. I want to make sure that we hear from you. So before we miss. Judge Hicks, you on here? Where you at? Who else?
I see Joanna.
And
chat. Thank you for.
You know what? Is Tony Rose on? Look, we're ad-libbing right now.
We want to make sure we get everyone covered.
We're on the ad lib. Okay, wait. Let me look. Tony Rose. Okay. Well, let's go.
All right.
Judge Hicks didn't unmute, so we're gonna keep riding.
If we have missed anyone, please share your information in the chat. And now, as Tracy said, we are going to have a special conversation with Judge Elizabeth Frizzell, who is running for Texas Criminal Court of Appeals. This is a statewide election. So when we talk about voting for folks up and down the ballot, this is one of them. And we want to make sure that we are going down the whole ballot so that we can make sure our entire community is represented.
Thank you all so much. And thank you to Tracy and Sarita and Dr. Braley for putting this together. This has just been such a wonderful event. You just don't know. I was sitting here, like someone else said, I'm not going to unmute because you'll hear me laughing and screaming, and I needed this boost. I'm Judge Elizabeth Davis Frizzell. I'm running for Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, Place 3. This is a statewide race, so if you are registered to vote in the state of Texas, you will see Elizabeth Frizzell on the ballot. This will be my 4th term as a judge. It's my first statewide race, and I'll be the first African-American female to ever serve on this court in the history of Texas. I wouldn't think I'd be the first African-American female to do anything in 2020, but I'll take it because we need that diversity and that voice on this court. I've been practicing criminal law for the past 27 years. I've been a judge for 20 of those years on every level other than the appellate level. I started as a municipal court judge for the city of Dallas. I've been a judge for the city of Lucas, city of Princeton, city of Balch Springs. I became the presiding judge of County Criminal Court number 11 in 2006. I served there for 8 years. And in 2016, I ran for the presiding judge of Criminal District Court number 7. I won and presided over all types of cases from assault to rape, robbery, murder, and capital murder. I have represented defendants on appeal, prepared the briefs, the transcripts. I've done it all, and I'm prepared for this moment. You know, I kind of feel like society is finally catching up to me because I've been about criminal justice reform for years. I was defense lawyer for 13 years before I ever ran for judge. And at that time, it just wasn't popular. But I kept going because I saw so many people who were wrongfully incarcerated. I know there are people in the penitentiary right now for offenses they didn't commit. I represented one of them who served 16 years in the penitentiary for an offense he didn't commit. He was later freed through DNA evidence, but his life was never the same after that. A part of why I became a lawyer and became a judge is because I want to make these courts more fair. There are 9 judges on the highest criminal court in the state of Texas. Do you know how many of them are African American? There are none. Do you know how many of them are Hispanic? There are none. Do you know how many of them are Asian? There are none. Do you know how many of them are Democrat? There are none. Is that fairness? Is that balance? We don't even have defense lawyers with 5 to 10, not to mention my 13, now total of 15 years as a criminal defense lawyer. But the primary issue that's raised by many defendants on appeal is inadequate representation in trial. Many times people have court-appointed attorneys that they don't feel like are fighting for them, that try to force them to take a plea deal. Many times they can't get out of jail because of those cash bonds. They just don't have the money to get out. Bail bonds shouldn't be based on money. It should be based on the facts and the evidence of the case, and that's the only area in the law where we base it on money. I've seen people with a lot of money who've done some horrendous crimes, but they have the money to get out and they're freed. I've seen people with no money. And some of my clients, I've gotten their bonds reduced 3 times, but they still don't have the money to get out. You see, that's not what our system should be about. It should be about fairness and justice, holding people accountable if they did it. And get this, even if they did do it, it should be fairness in sentencing. You see, I have been campaigning on disparate sentences. African Americans get sentenced more harshly than non-African Americans. African American males make up 13% of the population. Yes, they're in the criminal justice system and sentenced at 39%. Do you know which country incarcerates more people than any other country in the world? It's the United States. Do you know which state out of the 50 states in this country incarcerates more people than any other state? It's the state of Texas. Yet, we're at 435 wrongful convictions in the state of Texas. You see, I'm from Dallas, and unfortunately, we have the distinction of being known as #1 in wrongful convictions. That's not what we want to be #1 for. We want to be #1 in fairness, in justice. You see, I'm married with 2 children. Both my kids are in college now. And I equate this race to when you're running a 400. That's what my son runs. He runs for University of Texas. And I used to coach him when he was little until I used to run track back in the day when I was much younger. And back then I used to coach him as a kid. And then he got older, I couldn't coach him anymore. And I remember we used to talk about when you're running that quarter, which is 1 lap around the track, when you get on that 3rd corner, that's when it gets heavy and you get tired. And that's when everybody's telling you to pick up the pace. And then you get around that 3rd corner and you get in that last 100 and everybody's like, go, you can do it. They're coming for you. They're coming for you, like my soror Kamala said. They're coming for us. Well, that's fine because we're ready. I'm ready for this fight. And I know you who are listening to me within the sound of my voice, you're ready for this fight. We're in the last 100, folks. We're in the last 100. And no matter how tired we are, we have to keep going and pick up the pace. The voting starts on Tuesday. And this call right here has inspired me. I'm gonna be honest, I was getting a little tired. Every race I've run, it's been a fight. It's been a fight to get there. It's been a fight to stay there. And that's why I wanted to make sure I'm always prepared for every race and every bench that I serve on. I've been the vice chair and the chair of the Judicial Nominating Commission in Dallas, which helps select the judges. I'm a graduate of the Texas Judicial College. I've been the co-chair of the Criminal Justice Committee in Dallas, very involved in the Dallas Bar. I wanted to make sure that I was prepared, and I am. And I'm asking you to help take me across the finish line. This call right here gave me that wind beneath my wings that I needed. I was getting a little tired, but boy, this was inspirational with Donna Brazile and everybody that spoke. Dr. Braley always calls me and encourages me, invites me to help me get my name out. If you can contribute to my campaign, I have to touch every corner of Texas. During the primary, I got in my little car, I drove to Odessa. I drove to Texarkana. I drove to Brazoria, Freestone, Navasota. I'm a graduate of Prairie View A&M University, right down the street from Navasota. They were very welcoming to me in Navasota. I drove everywhere in Texas. Then I had to stop that during the pandemic. So I've been Zooming in El Paso, in every little small rural county. And let me tell you something, in these rural counties, they are so excited to see my name on the ballot and the other 6 candidates that are running statewide for judgeships in Texas. Judge Stacey Williams on the call. She's running for the Supreme Court. She'll be the first African-American female ever on that court in the state of Texas. We've got this. We just have to keep going. The rural counties, the big cities are ready for us. I'm asking you to contribute if you can, frizzellforjudge.com, FRIZELL, the number 4 judge.com, so that I can make sure everyone in Texas knows about me and my race. I'm gonna give you an easy way to remember my name as I close. We can do better in our highest criminal courts in the state of Texas. We can have excellence in our highest criminal courts in the state of Texas. We can excel with Judge Elizabeth Frizzell. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Judge Frizzell. Everyone is truly giving all of these inspiring speeches, and I think that really speaks to the power that Black women hold, the ability of Black women to do great work. Judge Frizzell, you talked a bit about how you have not only the lived experience of serving for over a decade, but also the just the resume, right? Like you've got the goods that often these other candidates don't. And I think that's a testament to Black women in general. We often feel that we have to go above and beyond to prove that we are ready to do the job that we've been ready for. But it also speaks to the commitment that Black women have to make sure that jobs are done well and not just good enough. And so I so appreciate you spending some time with us. Again, please put your link in the chat so that folks know where to find you, where to give. And thank you for spending some time with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And now I want to take a moment. Again, we're going to get some of our candidates and elected officials on the line, if you will. To start, I'd like to introduce Sissy Bird.
Unmute. Well, hello, everyone. How are you doing? I am Sissy Bird, and I am running for City Council District 4 in El Paso, Texas. When I am elected, I will be the first Black woman to sit on City Council. I am the only Democrat running. And the reason why I say that, I have opponents. We started with 8, went down to 6, went down to 5. Now it's really 4 of us. But I am the only one who has voted Democrat all my life. We got some of them in cheap and wolf's clothing. Yes, we do. So therefore, I am running. I know I will bring diversity to City Hall, and that's what I want. Because when I get elected, I will represent 3.8 of the population here in El Paso. So therefore, I have encouragement from many of Black women. Tracy has been one of them. And when I decided to run, she said, Sissy, why not? And I said, okay. So therefore, like I said, when I am elected, I will be that first woman. I am the chair of the Black El Paso Democrats, first woman. I'm the first woman for the vice chair of the Black El Paso Democrats. I have won many awards here. Last year, I went to 3 Hall of Fames from the El Paso Commission for Women, the City of El Paso RSVP Senior Corps, and I also went into the Hall of Fame for the El Paso County Democrats. And believe me, it is truly amazing. And just like you said, everybody needs to encourage everyone. This has been an awesome, awesome day. I just love Donna. When I see her on the TV, it's like, okay, everybody got to stop. Don't talk to me. Don't let the phone ring, because I like to listen to her. I have gained so much knowledge about politics listening to her, and I just think y'all are all awesome. And I thank you so much. And I am so glad that I can see different judges, different people run for races that look like me. I'm not only talking about being Black, I'm talking about being a Black woman. So I thank you, my queens, and keep on encouraging each other. And we got to get the White House, because
Yes,
the
we do.
occupants got to go. I thank you so much for having me on here and inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you, Sissy.
Yes, thank you. And I am loving the energy that everyone is bringing. Next, I would like to call on Representative Tony Rose.
Rep Rose, where you at? She out in the streets.
Yeah,
We are in the streets. Good morning, everyone.
Okay.
Good morning. Good morning, Black Women's Pact. Good morning. We are in the streets with our good friend and colleague, State Representative Retta Bowers, who is seeking re-election. We are in the streets. We're the street team. Come on, street team. We are so excited to be here to support Representative Retta Bowers. And I also have, I'm gonna let Representative Bowers say, I'm gonna introduce Representative Bowers at this time. I'm sorry. We out here in this heat, y'all.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to have a moment with you all, and thank you for all that you are doing. You are helping us elevate our voice. We know this is the most critical election of our lifetime. We are Black women out here together supporting one another. I have, of course, as you've already heard from my colleague, State Representative Tony Rose, she also represents this part of the district, so I'm glad to have her support today. And we have State Rep-elect Jasmine Crockett. We are out here together. We've got a great team that just keeps coming. There are cars and cars coming in, and we're gonna hit the streets. We're gonna do it as safely as possible. Election day is, of course, November 3rd, but early voting, y'all know, starts Tuesday. And so we need to get out, vote early. Elections can be won in early voting. We know that. We also know, I must say, and lift up on this Sunday, we're 9 points ahead. So we need to keep pushing, and we ask you for prayer, and we ask everybody to take everybody they know and their mama and vote early and vote safe. State Rep-elect Jasmine Crockett.
Absolutely. So good Sunday afternoon to everyone. I am so excited to be here, not only with my soon-to-be colleague, but my sorority sister. We are members of Delta Sigma Theta sorority. And as we know, Deltas will get it done. And so that's what we're trying to do here in the state of Texas, is we are trying to make change. And let me be clear, there are so many things on the ballot. So many of you are worried about the name, but let me tell you something. The things that are on the ballot are healthcare. The things that are on the ballot are actually getting over COVID-19 and moving to the next level. The things that are on the ballot are our economy. The things that are on the ballot are police reform. And so if you care, you got to vote all the way down the ballot. Do not stop at the top. You need to make sure you do your research. You need to make sure that you get out. And as my soror said, you need to make sure that you pull your mama and them with you too. And if you have any issues, because I anticipate we gonna have issues because, you know, we got some things going on in this country. Don't worry about that. We got your back. I am a licensed attorney. There are going to be licensed attorneys that are going to be there to fight for you. Make sure you know wherever you are in the state of Texas, what number you need to call if there's a problem. We will not be intimidated. We live in a democracy, and we're going to show Washington what democracy looks like in the state of Texas. Believe that. All right.
In case y'all didn't know,
Thank you so much, Tracy.
yeah. Look, thank you so much. I'm so glad to see y'all. And, you know, I don't know if y'all got to see Donna Brazil and Mignon Moore, but that was their message. Keep going, go out there, leave the lit, let everybody know in the streets and, you know, fight for this election. So.
And Tracy, let me just say this too. I just want everybody to know that it's very important that they make sure that they look at the state houses race, because if you care about your future, you need to help us flip the Texas House. When we flip the Texas House, we'll be able to get those things that Representative-elect Jasmine Crockett just talked about. We will be able to deal with redistricting and make sure that we have representation. So make sure, again, we can't keep stressing enough. Everybody vote. Get your mama and them, your daddy and them, everybody. Thank you, Tracy. And thank you.
Hi, Saras. I'm gonna take a little vice chair so I can say hey. And Saras, I know you talked about being a Delta. Yesterday it came out that yes, we are Deltas, but we have never been so happy to be able to wear pink if we have to wear pink from today to election day for Kamala. We gonna go to the polls with our pink shirts and our blue Converse. Just want to get that out there too.
And I'm gonna say, wait a minute, and I'm gonna wrap it up. Another thing, we know that when Black women run and Black women win, we vote, we take care of the whole household.
Yeah.
We care about everybody. So thank you.
Thank you, Judge Hall. See you on there. Love you, Houston, too.
Yeah, awesome. Oh my gosh. That was really wonderful. I'm so glad they were able to join. We kept playing with that. Okay. Of course, I don't know where we are, so let's see what happens next.
I'll let you know. Don't worry.
You're right. Sarita, timekeeper. Thank you so kindly.
Here for you. Teamwork makes the dream work. We are going to start with the say her name, or actually, before I get into that, I'm going to show us a video from Sasha L. Leggett, JD from Pure Justice.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sasha Leggett. I'm the Executive Director of Pure Justice. We are a nonprofit organization that works to bring criminal justice reform and create economic opportunities for communities of color here in Harris County. The role that we play in our communities are extremely important because we advocate for change that are systemic, that, you know, will change and transform the lives of those who are impacted severely in the criminal justice system. Our elections are extremely important this year, and that means voting from the top to the bottom of the ballot. A lot of people focus so much on our top of the ballot because there's a presidential election, but because our down ballot races are those candidates that impact every single part of our lives daily, it's important to know who they are, what they stand for, and what role they play in affecting you and your family. Right now, our organization is doing a multitude of things to make sure that people turn out for this election. We are doing text banking, we are doing phone calls, we are doing registrations, we are knocking on doors, we're doing everything that we can to make sure that people turn out for this historic election. And there's a multitude of ways that you can get involved. You know, one of the things that we want to do is make sure that everybody knows when it is time to vote. Early voting starts on October 13th and election day is November 3rd. So tell your friends, your family, your neighbors, your associates, those who you think might be registered, remind them. Those who you think might not vote, tell them anyway, because our lives are on the ballot. Justice is on the ballot. Change is on the ballot. So we hope everyone turns out. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you so much for that. Next, I wanted to take a moment, and we're talking about candidates, and I wanted to make sure that everyone knew that there are 50 Black women running in the state of Texas in this election. And I wanted to kind of, and without being insulting, play off the say her name. We need to really connect with Say Her Name and extend that to the women that are running for office in Texas. So I wanted to just take a moment and shout out the names of the women that are running across Texas, and for you all to identify with who is in your county. And when you go to the ballot and you're thinking about a Tatiana Jefferson, and you're thinking about Sandra Bland, and you're thinking about Breonna Taylor, I want you to think about the Black women that are running to make change, to make sure that that never happens again. So I want to start with the Dallas Sheriff's Office, Dallas County, is Marion Brown. State Representative for District 54 in Bell County is Kiki Williams. State Representative for District 120 is Bexar County, which is Barbara Gervin Hawkins. She's an incumbent. District Judge for the 401st Judicial Court in Collin County is Tanya Holt. We have Representative Retta Bowers, who is running in Dallas County for State House District 113. District Judge for the 254th Judicial Court, yes, in Dallas County, Kim Brown. We have State Representative Yvonne Davis, who's an incumbent for District 111. We have our Congresswoman in North Texas, Eddie Bernice Johnson, and she's District 30. We have District Judge for the 95th Judicial Court in Dallas County, Monica Purdy. We heard from her earlier, Judge Purdy. State Representative for District 110, Representative Tony Rose, who is just on with us. We have a Denton County Commissioner, Precinct 3, Delia Parker Mims. She's joining us, she's on here, and we also have a video from her. State Representative, District 5, that's LaWanda Prince. And she is in, I don't know what county she's in. Oops, missed that one. Okay. Then we have the county attorney, Joanne Bernil, who's up in El Paso. District Judge for the 400th Judicial District Court, Tamika Carter, who is in Fort Bend. Fort Bend County Commissioner, Precinct 3, Hope Martin. County Tax Assessor and Collector, Carmen Turner, and that's in Fort Bend County. Fort Bend County Court of Law, number 5, Tiana Watson. District Judge for the 405th Judicial Court in Galveston County, Teresa Hudson. Then we have Adrienne Bell, who is running for Congress in Galveston and Jefferson County. We have the Wanda Adams, who is elected in Harris County for the Justice of Peace, Precinct 7, Place 1. We have Kayla Alex, who is running for State Representative, District 129, out in Harris County in the Clear Lake area. We have incumbent Alma Allen, who is a State Representative for District 131 in Harris County. We have Erica Davis, who's running for the Harris County Department of Education, Place 5. Ramona Franklin, Judge Ramona Franklin, who was elected with the 19 that came on in 2018. She's back on the ballot for District Judge for 338th Court. Judge Ursula Hall, who is here with us, she is going to speak later. She's running District Judge for the 165th Court in Harris County. Nikki Harmon, District Judge for the 176th Judicial Court in Harris County. We have the illustrious Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, who is on the ballot again, who serves Harris County. We have Hazel Bell, who is running for District Judge in the 174th District Court in Harris County. Geraldine Manor, I think she's on with us today too, District Judge for the 80th Judicial Court. Brittany Morris, who's running for, both in Harris County, District Judge for the 333rd Judicial Court. Elaine Palmer, who's in Harris County, who's running for, not sure, a District Judge for the 215th Court. And then Judge Frederica Phillips, who is coming on later. She's the District Judge running in the 64th Court. Dawn Deshia Rogers, we heard from Dawn earlier. She's the District Judge running for District Judge in Harris County for the 334th Judicial Court. Then we have Miss T, Representative Symphonia Thompson, who's in Harris County, who is the Lady of the House, who is District 114. May Walker. May Walker has been a Harris County Constable in Precinct 7 for a very long time, and very, very valuable servant of the community. Lorena Perez McGill, who is in Montgomery County, running for state representative for District 15. That takes us to 37. So I'm going to take a break. I'll come back later and read from 39 to 50. But I thank you all for this moment. Sarita, back to you.
Thank you for that, Tracy. And as she said, we'll finish this list out. It is incredible that we have 50 Black women across the state of Texas running for office. For this next portion of our program, we are going to be hearing from Judge Frederica Phillips. So we'll start with you, Judge.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, there we go.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I am Frederica Phillips. I am running for re-election as your judge of the 61st District Court in Harris County, one of the civil courts in Harris County. I'm excited to be here with all of you. I'm excited about the diversity that we have right now in the judiciary in Harris County, and I want us to keep that diversity in Harris County. It is so important. I practiced law for over 17 years in state and federal courts across the country before I became the judge 4 years ago. And one of the things that I did not see during my law practice are judges who look like me. I see that now, and I want to keep that. It's so important that we have a judiciary that reflects the makeup of the county that it represents. And one of the things that I've made as my personal mission is to not only have a diverse judiciary, but also the legal representation. So I make it a mission to appoint as many minorities and women as I can to judicial appointments that come before me. Because it's just important that we have representation. We know representation matters. I don't have to tell you guys that, you know that. And so we just want to keep that going. Again, I am Frederica Phillips. I'm running for re-election for one of these civil courts in Harris County. And I just stress again that we vote the whole ballot in every single race. Thank you all so much for giving me this few minutes today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Judge. We appreciate you coming out and spending some time. We know, especially as this is the weekend before early vote, everyone is very busy. We saw some folks out in the fields. Next, we're going to hear from Judge Ursula Hall.
It is an honor and a pleasure to Zoom see you and connect in these crazy, grave pandemic times. What a pleasure the morning has been. The new variety show, More and the Civil Fox, I cannot wait until it airs. Now more than ever, as we endure the many crises in our country, political developments have made it clear to anyone paying attention that participation matters and showing up matters, but very importantly, judges matter. Thank you for all of the work that you do, Black Women's PAC. It is often unseen and under-celebrated, but to people who look like me and the entirety of democracy, it is priceless. My name is Ursula A. Hall. I am the incumbent judge of the 165th Civil District Court, where I have served for 4 years. And previously, I served for 11 years as an associate judge for the city of Houston. The foremost qualities I offer in my candidacy are judicial experience, intellectual integrity, and servant leadership. For your information, from the bench, 2 of the biggest issues in the trial courts are access to justice as we go to multiple remote platforms and citizens as well as lawyers face varying levels of access. Soon, jury selection and trials may be virtual throughout Texas. And another major issue, the efforts through gubernatorial and legislative commission to change from a public election-based method of choosing judges to a semi-private selection method. Within the limits of judicial ethics, here is what I can tell you about my platform as expressed by the Texas Democratic Party. I believe in a well-functioning government that acts based on facts and evidence to preserve the life, health, and well-being of every Texan. I believe in the interdependence of every Texan on the actions of every other Texan. I believe that our interdependence challenges us to give of ourselves so that none of us fall. Together, we can overhaul the social contract and establish a new economic engine that allows all residents to thrive. I believe that together we can do it, and I thank you for making it possible for me to act and create good trouble in the ways the law allows from the bench. I was asked to also share with you just a few of the reasons that courts matter so very, very much. We don't often think about it, but there is no facet of American life that is not impacted by legal constraints or regulatory requirements. Whether one is eating a sandwich at lunchtime or purchasing something from the grocery store shelves, everything that we do is regulated and impacted by laws. Well, what's the magic of courts? Courts interpret the laws that our legislative branch creates with good intentions, with well thought out plans, but inevitably, because life evolves, there is something unanticipated, misunderstood, unintended that emanates from the law, and the job of your court officers is to interpret those laws. So, for example, if as in the case with the 165th Court, the court over which I was privileged to preside, there is the state Republican Party seeking to enforce its vision of its contract with the city of Houston and the Convention Visitors Bureau, there was a lawsuit filed to establish whether or not they could go forward in the middle of COVID with their live convention that would bring an estimated 6,000 people to Texas. It was a state court judge who handled a companion case that resolved that they could not do it. They saw the law one way, others saw the law another way, and judges resolved that. One of my colleagues, Judge Frederica Phillips, extended the time when we had our crises, depending on one's point of view, of voting at Texas Southern University last year, so that people standing in line could vote and there'd be no threat of shutting down the courts. A judge stepped in for that. Every single right that there is, inevitably, unintentionally or not, is impacted by the courts. Our criminal justice system is impacted by the civil courts in that, for example, it was the first court of appeals that determined unequivocally in this century, just less than 10 years ago, that citizens have the right to visually record and audio record public office holders. That was the precursor to allowing body cam and dash cam cameras for police officers, because the lawyer who recorded this event in the First Circuit was jailed for taping the police when he thought he was watching an interaction that was unacceptably brutal. Everything we do, whether it's a traffic ticket, a bail issue, is impacted by judges. And it is not just my Black skin that makes it important that I'm on the bench. It is perspective. My perspective then as a fat woman, a large woman, a larger woman, a bigger girl, my perspective as a former solo practitioner for the entirety of my career, my perspective as a daughter, my perspective as a person very close to her grandmothers, my perspective as a person who spent her life in church. The reason diversity matters in your judges is because we need a variety of voices at the table. All of the white men who predominate in courts may be lovely and wonderful people in their own way, because we are all God's children. However, inevitably, they have only one viewpoint, and that is the problem. You have probably heard the statements from experts that say eyewitness testimony is the least reliable of all. How is it that you and I could look at the same thing and see something entirely different? That's where judicial perspective comes in. And we ask the question of ourselves, whose perspective do we want? when we're considering the Voting Rights Act and whether or not the state of Texas should be continued to be monitored by federal authorities, many of us do not feel the same way about that. When we consider the sanctity of marriage and whether or not every human being should have the same rights to marry, as you well know, we don't all feel the same way about that. When it comes to the sanctity of a woman's body and who should be in charge of her body and the management of her body, we all know we don't feel the same way about that. That's why it matters that this federal court system, now stacked with more than 300 Trump appointees and the threats to our Supreme Court federally, as well as the amazing opportunity we have with our colleagues, both of whom qualified, experienced, powerful judges, from whom you will hear Judge Stacey Williams and Judge Elizabeth Frizzell. Amazing. What a treat it would be if the Texas Supreme Court, which I heard my colleagues say, has been in existence for 187 years and never enjoyed the privilege of the perspective of a Black woman. Oh my goodness, what a change that would be. Likewise, how can we have a state that has the most highest number of African Americans of any state in the country and have a criminal court system where Black and brown people are overrepresented, not have an African American? It's extraordinary. And believe me when I say, both in my capacity as a municipal court judge for 11 years and my capacity as a state court judge, we're doing something every day that affects your rights. Compelling case I had is another example. I was required to hear the question in the context of a temporary injunction. Should I allow the state to physically go to someone's home with an ambulance and officers, pick them up and physically remove them from their home, put them into an ambulance and drive them from Houston to the San Antonio area, because that is where our only containment facility is for those with communicable dangerous diseases. This person had tuberculosis and was not following the healthcare management. You may not know, because I did not until I had to study this case. If you have a communicable disease, it is tracked and followed until we got COVID and a new leadership. It's tracked and followed to make sure that highly communicable diseases, the patients with those diseases, are monitored and required to check in with public health authorities on a regular basis, because the spread of tuberculosis is something we've mastered and we can't allow to happen. My job was to decide whether or not there was a community threat. Difficult decision. Take someone from their home because they're non-compliant with their medical instructions, but that is the job. And the question becomes, do you want somebody who believes we're all on our own, or someone who believes in interdependence? Courts matter. And I apologize for not being with you. I did my hair, I set up my Zoom thing, but I was trying to Zoom in 2 places and I couldn't figure out how to turn on the camera. Forgive me. Thank you, Black Women's PAC. I am Ursula A. Hall, incumbent judge of the 165th Civil District Court, and I would appreciate your support in my reelection. And I thank you for this amazing, amazing morning of opportunity and inspiration.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Judge Hall, who's been really supportive in the background, texting me and saying all these great things over the last couple of days. And I'm like, how did I not know you earlier? You are so nice. Good gracious. So thank you very much.
Oh, bless you. What a beautiful thing. I'm also a crybaby. I've been crying all morning.
Oh, good. You were crying for me. I had to hold it in.
Joy
My
tears.
tissues over
Joy
here
tears.
going. Yeah.
Joy
Yes.
tears.
Joy tears. Yes.
Yes, I always love getting to hear from Judge Hall talk about someone who uplifts the women around her. Thank you for speaking a bit. And next, I would like to throw it over to the wonderful Akila Basie.
All right. Hi there. Hi, guys. Thank you guys so much for inviting me to come and talk and share more about our race over here in West Houston. It is really getting underway. But I'll tell you a little about who it is that I am and why I'm running. My name is Akila Basie, and I was born in Houston, Texas, Northwest Houston. And I grew up with a single mom and a twin brother and an older sister who was about 18 months older. So we were all lumped right on in there. My mom knew that the way that we were going to be able to get to the next step was a strong education. And so that's why we ended up going, had a very good, strong public school education. But that led me to going to Spelman College, which I'm sure many of you all know is a historically Black college for women in Atlanta, Georgia. And it was there at Spelman that I was really, really challenged and pushed to use my privilege in service of others. And I remember just thinking to myself, I come from a single parent household. I'm paying for school with some student loans and some faith. What kind of privilege do I really have? And then I just really thought about it, and and I thought about I had a stable home, I had a strong education, and I had a support system that pushed me to reach and fight for my dreams, whatever those might be. So I said, you know what? I am required to give back and make sure that I'm lifting others as I climb. And so that led me to going to law school back here in Texas at Texas Tech. And I ultimately started working as a prosecutor in Harris County. And so I worked there. I said, I can go there, I can do some good work in the community, and I can also help change our court systems from the inside out. And so I served my time there, but I thought, I could do better work by defending our civil rights, by fighting against discrimination. So I started my own practice. But even in the courtroom, when I realized that we were still dealing with so many issues that were birthed out of our community, so many issues that disproportionately affect Black and brown people, lack of fair employment and lack of educational opportunities. And so that led me to getting involved in my community and teaching adult literacy, mentoring, working with human trafficking victims, serving as a pro bono attorney and civil rights teacher within our community and for human trafficking victims, representing people pro bono, doing asylum work, and during Hurricane Harvey as well. And in all of this, what I realized is that we were depending so much on the goodwill of people as opposed to our government, which should be prioritizing the people. And so that's what pushed me to get in here and run for Texas House District 138. Now, Texas House District 138 is a very special race in that this is a race that we Democrats missed flipping by only 47 votes in 2018. And it is now an extremely targeted race. It is an extremely competitive race. But, I am confident that it's ours for the taking at this point. And what we see now is, it's a suburban area. And so it is a bit of a more uncharted territory for a lot of Black women. And we're seeing that being used almost weaponized against us in this race. The idea of fighting for social justice, things of that sort. Of course, discoloration of photos, just this idea of pushing these extreme ideas that just have never aligned with most people in general, and certainly not with my campaign, but just the scare tactic, this fear mongering that we see, because they know that it is so important. And then when we're looking at 2020, we're looking at so much on the ballot. Our races are on the ballot, but when we're looking at our races, justice is on the ballot, healthcare is on the ballot, education is on the ballot. And when we're fighting for social justice, those are the things that we are fighting for. Those are the things that matter. And so, I'm excited to see where we are. I am excited to be 3 weeks out. And I'm excited to get to the polls. I'm ready to flip this seat and flip the Texas House so we can make some good laws to give to Judge Hall and Judge Williams to look at and to interpret. And, people who understand that the laws have consequences when they're being made and not just only once they're in the courtroom. So thank you guys so much for having me, and I'm so glad to be here. Akilah Basie, Texas House District 138.
Thank you so much, Akilah. And thank you for reminding us. We are 3 weeks out, y'all. Early vote starts on Tuesday, October 13th, and then November 3rd will be here even sooner. So like we've been saying, make sure that you have a plan. Make sure your mom has a plan, dad has a plan, cousins, aunts, uncles, friends, everyone, do take care of each other to make sure we all get to the polls. Next, I would like to call on Ollie Anderson for Tarrant County Tax Assessor.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Ms. Ollie.
Oh, thank God, thank God. First of all, let me just say, Tracy, thank you for inviting me. This has really been an awesome, awesome, awesome time. I am an educator at heart, and I can truly say that I have been truly educated and I have been informed. Before I get started, I just want to greet everyone on behalf of Tarrant County. Tarrant County has a robust slate. We have candidates, we have, I think, about 8 judges that are running, and we have 5 legislators that are running. We have people on the ballot from the top of the ballot all the way to the bottom of the ballot. And with that being said, thank you for allowing me this opportunity to speak to you. My name is Ollie Boss Anderson. I am the Democrat candidate for Tarrant County Tax Assessor Collector. I am a proud graduate of Jackson State University. I graduated cum laude with a degree in accounting. I have over 40 years of professional experience in accounting and in auditing. I have worked most of those years in a corporate setting, as well as with the Department of Defense, but also 8 of those years as a startup business. Currently, for the past 10.5 years, I have served at Tarrant County Democratic Party as comptroller and assistant treasurer. I also served on the Zoning Board of Adjustment in Haltom City. So you see, my love for my city reaches far past my city to serving in the county. Working at Tarrant County Democratic Party is the reason why I decided to step up. Election cycle after election cycle, I was always waiting for someone to come in and file to run for that office. And after 8 years, I finally decided I am not going to wait any longer, because I feel like with my education and with my experience and my activism, that I had something to bring to the table. And just like Fannie Lou Hamer, I was just absolutely sick and tired of being sick and tired. I looked at the board members that serve on TAD, and there's no diversity. There was no one who looked like me. Now, I remember when I graduated from college, my first job was with the Department of Defense. I was blessed because there was someone that was in human resource that looked like me. She looked at back then we called it application. Now you're saying resume. But she looked at my resume and she looked at my transcript and she saw my grades and she made a decision that she was going to give me an opportunity. The one thing that I learned from her early on is that you just can't open the door for a person without giving them the tools and the resources that they need in order to be successful. When I signed on, once I was sworn in, I met with her. She introduced me to a senior auditor, male and female, who looked like me. Had it not been for her being concerned about not just opening that door for me, but giving me the tools and the resources that I needed to succeed, I would not have been successful. Because coming out of school, that was my first job. I really thought I knew everything, and I really thought that I really had it going on, but I had a lot to learn. And because of her, I had mentors who mentored me. So I held that close into my heart. And when I left, I've always understood and realized that, you really have to give people the tools and the resources that they need in order to be successful.
My run is about educating and informing homeowners. I propose to recalibrate the mission of the tax office to meet the needs of homeowners, and not just those who have the power and resources to negotiate. I understand the importance of home ownership. Home ownership is essential to not only just the homeowner, but the community in which we live in. What I would like to do is, what I do understand is I am not a proponent of trying to take anyone's home away from them. If you live in an area, in a neighborhood that you're happy with, then there is nothing that says that you need to be forced out of that neighborhood and relocated into another neighborhood. I have been in my home for 34 years. I have a sense of belonging into the community. I have deep roots in my neighborhood. I know all my neighbors. But the one thing that when I ran in 2018 that I learned is property taxes. Property taxes is a kitchen table item. People are concerned about having the ability to maintain and sustain their homes. Most people don't understand that as the tax assessor collector, you actually sit on the board of appraisal. Now, you cannot vote, but there's nothing that stops you from making recommendations on fair appraisals, because fair appraisals transcends into fair property taxes. I am asking for an opportunity to be your voice. In corporate America, back in the day, I was not privileged to work with colleagues that looked like me. So I had to learn early on how to speak up for myself. But in the process of speaking up for myself, I also found out that I was speaking up for others. So you need to have someone who is sitting on that board who will represent homeowners, who will never lose sight of why they are there. We're there because we are there to serve your needs. I am asking you to take a look at Ollie Boss Anderson. I have a website that you can go on and you can learn more about me. But there are a couple of things also that I would like to do, since I want to recalibrate the mission of the tax office to serve the needs of homeowners. Many have asked me, how do you plan to accomplish that? Number one, increase outreach by utilizing all of the social media platforms that are available at the tax office so that homeowners may be aware of updates, changes in laws that affects their property. Secondly, education, information is powerful. I can't do anything about reducing your taxes, but what I can do is put procedures in place that would bring in an awareness to you. I believe in education. I am willing to conduct workshops where you come into the workshop and I will teach you everything that I learn and glean once I am in that office. I am willing to share with you. The appraisal process, that is the beginning of the taxing process. I want to educate and inform you and unravel the mystery of that appraisal process, because I believe that the more information that we have, then the better decisions that we can make. Many people want to know, well, how can I reduce my tax liability? I want to make certain that everyone is taking advantage of the various homestead exemptions. Those homestead exemptions are on TAB's website, but along with it being on TAB, I would like to publish it on the county's website. And I really and truly believe in plain language. In language, simple, where everyone can understand. And this information is prominently, readily, and easily available on the website. Now, I also understand that there's a segment of the population that is not computer literate. That is my greatest challenge. So what I want to do is, And it is very critical to me, relationship building. I heard someone talk about that. That's a necessity. My slogan for this is that I am working for the people while working with the people to come up with beneficial solutions. And that is what I want to do. Go
Ms.
out
Ali?
into the community. Okay. All right, Tracy, you know I get started.
Okay. I know. I thank you so much. I hate to cut you off. We got to keep moving. We have, we have 30 minutes left, and we got a couple of other candidates that we want to get in.
I'll put
but
my
I thank you so
information
much.
in the chat.
Please put your information in the chat.
I will.
Yes. And Miss Ali is the delight in Tarrant County and one of our bigger leaders in Tarrant County. So we are hoping that she is going to win Tarrant County Tax Assessor.
That's I kind of like.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Sarita.
Yes, thank you. And I just want to do one last shout out or call out rather for any of our other candidates or electeds that would like to just say a couple words before we move into the last segment of the program.
Is Elisa Simmons on?
I think Elisa, I don't see her.
I don't see her either. Okay.
Okay, going one. Going twice.
And there's nobody. Okay,
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
This is
look.
Geraldine Maynard. Can you hear me?
There we go. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, you can. Okay. Hi. I've been trying to unmute myself for a little while, but I'm glad it worked. But just really quick, because I know we've been on this Zoom since 10 o'clock, so I'll be thoughtful of your time. But my name is Geraldine Maynard, and I'm running for judge of the 80th Civil District Court in Harris County. It's a countywide seat, and I've decided to place my hat in this ballot because at some point in early 2017, someone asked me and all of us, what did we have to lose? And I can tell you in my immigration practice, I've lost every single asylum trial that I've had under this administration. I've had clients who have lost their ability to stay in the United States through no fault of their own. I have seen arbitrary laws that have targeted people of color, and I decided that now is the time. I spent most of my career in civil practice. I've done some criminal defense. I've done family, bankruptcy. I've done just about anything that this particular court will hear. So I do believe that I'm qualified for this this bench. I've heard from a lot of women today, and one of the things that I've taken away is we're all qualified, if not overqualified, but we've all had to do something that our male counterparts don't have to do. We have to pay dues that they just will simply never have to pay. And that's another one of the reasons why I decided now is a good time to throw my hat in this race. Harris County is primed for change, and I've decided there's no time like the present. My president asked me, what did I have to lose? And year after year, I seem to have lost a lot, and I decided enough was enough. So I'm Geraldine Maynard for judge, 80th District Court. Thank you.
Oh, I have to unmute myself. It happens at least once a Zoom. I just forget how to unmute. I want to take a moment for one of our incredible statewide candidates. Again, we are so fortunate to have Black women up and down the ballot. And so I would like to introduce Judge Stacey with an I Williams.
Good afternoon, everyone. I thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. I'm in my car because you know what? A Black woman's work is never done. And if you look in the back, I've been all over Dallas County today delivering signs. But you know what? We're so enthusiastic, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today. I'm running for the Texas Supreme Court, and as has been mentioned, and I think all of you have done so, it'll be the first time in the 174-year history that an African-American woman has been on the Texas Supreme Court. It is time that our voices be heard. It is time that our voices be heard. Guys, we're living in a society right now where someone will call Kamala Harris a monster. And remember, they called Hillary Clinton a nasty woman. We need to change the narrative. And I want to speak for everyone up and down the ballot. The only way that this narrative will be changed if we elect African-American women up and down the ballot in every position. I'm qualified for this position. I bring over 27 years of legal experience. I'm a 2-term district court judge in Dallas, where I hear oil and gas, real estate, personal injury, medical malpractice, and other consumer issues. I've been a municipal court judge for the city of Dallas, an administrative judge for the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, in-house corporate counsel in the telecommunications, retail, and defense industries. And I tell you all of that because I have the diverse experience that will that will take me in the Texas Supreme Court. My opponent, his experience, he was Rick Perry's chief of staff, and he got on the Texas Supreme Court. In fact, last weekend, I received the Houston Chronicle's endorsement because of my experience, because of my background. And the Houston Chronicle noted, we do need an African-American on the an African-American female on the Texas Supreme Court. And I tell you, I will work very hard. Those of you who have not met me statewide, I've worked tirelessly, and I will never forget the community from which I came from. I was born in Longview, Texas, in segregation. The hospitals were segregated in my town, Marshall. So my dad had to drive my mom 15 minutes to go to a Black hospital in Longview. I'll never forget the experiences that I have, and I will take those experiences with me to the Texas Supreme Court. Quickly, I'm a native Texan, a proud graduate of Georgetown University Law Center in Washington, D.C., Smith College with a degree in economics and the Hockaday School in Dallas. I ask for your support, www.judgestacy.com. And thank you so much, Black Women's PAC.
Hey, Judge Stacy, before you go, I need to come meet you because I need a sign. So I'm going to text you when this is over. I'll come meet you in Dallas. I need a sign.
Hey, we're driving over to Fort Worth in about an hour. So
oh, okay, good.
So
I'll see you.
I will call you. I will call you. All
okay,
right?
good.
And
all
anyone else needs a sign, just email me, Stacy@judgestacy.com, and that's Stacy with an I. It will get delivered. I don't care what part of Texas you're in. UPS will go there. FedEx will go there. We want you to have the signs. We want every community to know that we can make history in the Texas Supreme Court and affect change. Thank you.
Look, Black women will always make it happen if you take nothing else from this. Thank you so much, Judge Stacy. It's always such a pleasure to have you on the call. As Tracy mentioned earlier, we want to make sure that we are saying the names of all of the Black women that we have running across the state. As a reminder, there are 50 Black women running up and down the ballot in Texas, which is truly, truly amazing. And so to close out the list, I'm going to pick up where Ms. Tracy left off. And I believe we are currently at State Representative District 15 in Montgomery County, Lorena Perez Miguel. We heard from Elizabeth Davis Frizzell, who's running for Judge, Court of Criminal Appeals, Place 3, which is a statewide position. We also just heard from Judge Stacey Williams, who's running for Justice of the Supreme Court, Place 7, also a statewide role. Next, we have Valerie Baston, who is running for District Judge 342, Judicial District in Tarrant County. Nicole Collier, State Representative, District 95, Tarrant County. Alicia Darden, District Judge 153, Judicial District, Tarrant County. Marilyn W. Hicks, District Judge, 348th Judicial District, Tarrant County. Sandra Lee, County Constable, Precinct 7 in Tarrant County. Elisa Simmons, State Representative, District 94, Tarrant County. Lakeisha Smith, District Judge, 213th Judicial District, Tarrant County. Delania A. Watson, Justice, Second Court of Appeals, District, Place 6, Tarrant County. Cheryl Cole, State Representative, District 46, Travis County. Tanya Nixon, County Constable, Precinct 1, Travis County. And closing out our list, we have Marcia Burnett Webster, member of the State Board of Education, District 10, Williamson, Bell, and Travis County. Again, we will be sending that list out to everyone along with the recording from today's event. And so don't worry, you don't have to commit it all to memory. We'll have it for you. Also, just a couple of tips as we talk about preparing for our ballot, preparing for Election Day, and making sure that we are prepared and we are ready. You can head over to mytexasvotes.com and you can look up where to vote, your polling place. You can look up who's going to be on your ballot and you can get yourself familiar with what that's going to look like, the names that you're looking for before heading to the polls. While we cannot take our phones into the polls, you can write it down. Don't feel like you have to have everything memorized. And then additionally, if you have questions about where to vote, how to vote, if there's something happening at your polling place that you're just not quite sure about, you can always call our voter assistance hotline. That number is 1-844-TX-VOTES. We're going to be staffing it all through early vote as well as Election Day, making sure that we are there and available to answer any and all questions, get you the support that you may need, and do what you got to do and help you out. Additionally, if you are wanting to talk to someone about vote by mail, if you're doing curbside voting for folks who are able to vote by mail, again, questions about early vote, you can call us on that hotline and one of our incredible volunteers will be able to help you out. And additionally, I'm going to make one ask for folks on the call / tell your friends. One thing that is very, very important to making sure that our elections are free, fair, and accessible to all are poll workers. So that might look like poll watching, that might be working on Election Day. There are various opportunities. You can head over to txdem.co/edayworker, and I will put all of these links in the chat. To learn more information about how to become a poll watcher, as well as if you are interested, reach out and we will get you set up in your area. Again, these roles can be filled by any one of us. We know that the average or the majority of the folks who are in these roles are white women who are 65. A lot of us on this call are neither white women who are 65. So what that means is there are people who don't look like us, who don't have our lived experience, who don't know the challenges and the barriers that Black voters, Black women are facing working at the poll. And we all know the immediate sigh of relief when we see someone who looks like us, when we see another Black woman who's at the checkout counter, you're like, I'm gonna wait to get in her line. And so you can be that person for someone. And then another great way that you can support is, especially for our folks who are maybe still on papers and not able to vote yet, stand in line for someone during the day if you're able to. Help each other out, take turns, do shifts, so that again, we are making sure that every single person is included, even if that person can't actually cast a vote, but making sure that you're involved in the process, involved in this opportunity for all of us. I know every year we say this is the most important election of our lifetime, but look, y'all, these last 4 years have been rough. This is one of the most important elections of our lifetime, especially us here in Texas, as we know we go into redistricting next year, and then we go into a governor's race in 2022. So this work does not end today. This work does not end on November 3rd, but we want to make sure we're prepared and we're ready to go as soon as early vote starts October 13th, and then Election Day is November 3rd. From here, I would love to turn it over to Dr. Braley, just to give us a few words as we get ready to bring things to a close.
Wait, Carvana Cloud should be on
Oh,
to talk.
so
I
sorry.
think she made it. I think she jumped
I
on.
see Carvana.
Okay.
Yes, Carvana Cloud is our incredible Director of Voter Protection with the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats. Carvana, I will let you take it over from here.
Thank you so much. And I apologize, had some technical difficulties. Good afternoon, everyone. It is wonderful to see so many friendly faces, familiar faces, especially because we are in the fight of our lifetimes. For those who don't know me, my name is Carvana Cloud, and I am the Voter Protection Director for the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats and the Vice President of the Texas Democratic Lawyers Association. Well, it certainly is no secret to each of you on this call that Texas is truly the future of the Democratic Party. We are a swing state. We are a battleground state, which is why I am so excited that the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats has worked very hard to join the state party in its coordinated campaign to not only get people registered to vote, but get them too excited about the process, to remind them that it's time to lift their voices so we can make sure that candidates, many of you who are on this line, some who are not, are elected to office to serve all of us. We are poised to turn the tide at all levels. 2020 is even more uniquely advantageous for Texas because we have a competitive Senate race, the most congressional pickup opportunities in this country. And we have a great shot at flipping the Texas House, and Joe Biden is an incredibly popular candidate here. A surge of Democratic energy is on the ground, and we're excited and we're ready for new leadership. And having Joe Biden and my soror, Senator Kamala Harris, on the top of that ticket is certainly helping to fuel down ballot energy. And this is precisely why I wanted to get on and just continue to encourage each of you as you continue to encourage folks in your community, Texans, voters of color especially, because we are experiencing voter suppression like we've never seen since the 60s. And that's why we are fighting at the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats in my capacity as Voter Protection Director to make sure that we are heard via amicus briefs, via in the litigation process, because we want to make it very clear that we are here to protect our right to vote in Texas and that no one is going to take that right away from Black Texas voters if we have anything to do about it. So we are fighting, we are here, and we are here for you. So sisters, and the gentlemen who are on as well, let's remember that we must vote down ballot. I know folks have already talked about that, but we know that there's no more straight ticket voting. So we have to go all the way down that ballot. And that's important. In some counties, Democrats will be designated with a D. On some ballots, they will maybe have the abbreviation DEM, and on others, it may just say flat out Democrat. All I'm asking is that you go down that entire ballot and you don't stop until you get to the end. We can't just afford to vote for people that are at the top of our ticket, because when we do that, we are skipping the opportunity to vote for amazing candidates, amazing men and women who are representing democratic values, and especially Black women who are running for statewide and local positions across this state and your counties. We are very excited to, again, be on today and to share with you. And I also want to remind you that today, the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats is also hosting a voter protection, voter education event. We call it Sunday dinner. We all know how we like to come around the tables and have Sunday dinner. And we're going to do that today. And we're going to hear from Deval Patrick, former governor of Massachusetts, who's going to encourage us, and we're going to hear from our party officials who are going to talk to us and answer your burning questions that you may have had or have experienced from some of your other folks in your communities about voting. Bottom line, this is absolutely the most important election of our lifetimes. And I have no doubt that we as Black women will show up and show out. And we're going to get to those polls, and we're going to turn Texas. Put the link in the chat. It is your opportunity. It's our duty and it's our time to truly be the change we want to see, not just for us, but for our children and for future generations. Thank you, everybody. Let's turn Texas blue.
Thank you. Thank you, Carvana. That was wonderful. I want to add on to what you said. I know we're insulated, and hopefully there's a few people on here who are not a part of the network, the Democratic machine, but I've run into a number of people who do not know if straight ticket voting is gone. And it's just, I mean, I'm shocked every time, but there are so many people who are not aware. And just, I think every time we have an opportunity, just remind people there's no straight ticket voting, be patient at the polls. You know, there's no straight ticket voting, you know, bring some water, have a, you know, snack with you. Be prepared when you go to vote and be in line and yeah, take your time. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so
Voter
much.
protection is big. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And Sarita?
Now I would like to turn it over to the one and only Dr. Carla Raley. I know she was having some tech issues. Let me see if she got back on. Yeah.
I see
I
her
will-
little tag. There we go.
I was still muted. I'm sorry. So thank you all. Thank you, Sarita. Thank you, Tracy. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I feel like I'm on the, can you hear me now, commercial? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now, Democrats? Can you hear us now that we must vote by all means necessary? This is not the time to ask the questions, how long has this person been a Democrat? What type of Democrat they are? This is the time to vote up and down the ballot. If it's a D next to their name, if it's DEM for Dem, if it's Democrat, because all of that will depend on what county you're in. You are voting for them. So for instance, if it's, I don't know, Geraldine Manor and it's D, Ursula's Hall and it's Dem, you're just voting that way. So at one point I remember Tracy stumping up and down Texas and saying, vote straight ticket. Well, you can vote straight, but you're voting straight in a different way now. You're gonna go straight to the top and straight down the ballot, actually noting Democratic candidates. And I can tell you all as vice chair, I am so proud to Zoom in this case all across Texas because we have great candidates. And that's what we heard today. Today was a long day. It was a good long day, Tracy. Thank you so much, Tracy and Sarita, for actually just envisioning this today. I really believe that we fed into many people today. And if you didn't get fed, you missed the talk between Donna and Mignon. That had to be one of my highlights of the electric.
Had to catch it on tape. Look, catch the playback.
2020, that's a highlight right there. That was absolutely God sent. And so thank you, Tracy. To everyone who is running, thank you for saying yes. I don't know how many times you ran. I don't know how many times someone had to ask you to run, but for whatever reason, you are in this race to ensure that we all have a fair shot and that we are able to have a higher quality of life than what many of us have experienced in 2020 alone. And so you all were voting like our lives depend on it. And I know I'm talking to you all who that's just like, why are you telling me this? Because sometimes we have to be reminded, and these last couple of days are going to test us. We're going to see messages to a certain degree about some of our Democratic candidates. Don't fall for the message or the messengers. You need to be a message. Use your voice in any way that you can to get as many people to the polls and to work the polls. That's going to be the thing too. We don't know how the lines are going to be. For those of y'all who have a little extra, or you have volunteers in your campaigns, they're saying, what can we do? Well, what you can do now is start having little baggies of goodies, of water, a little small water, an apple, or a granola bar. Go ahead and just start bagging up those things now, just drop them off. We know that it's COVID and we're going to be very precautious about how we social distance, but that's a matter of dropping a bag off to each poll, just so people can have that, along with even if it's literature. So let's all do what we can, because guess what, you all? You have been chosen for such a time as this to lead our state and turning it blue. And when Texas goes blue, you already know our nation goes blue too. And we will be able to save the nation. Somebody is going to vote for the very first time. And it may be you that have brought that first time voter to the poll. And guess what? Their vote will be the vote that will potentially change our state and our nation.
You all, let's go do what we do best. Let's get the work done. Tracy, Sarita, thank you so much for today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Brayley. Okay, so look, I don't have much to say after that. She covered it all, okay? That was great. I just want to say thank you to everybody who attended. Thank you again. I want to make mention though, remember Dr. Brayley has an event next Saturday. You didn't mention it. What time does it start? What are we doing?
Ain't no party like a Democratic Party, because a Democratic Party don't stop. We started last week. We coming back this week. It will be, Tracy, from 11 to 6. It may be longer because we're gonna party our way to the polls. So we're gonna have DJs. I'm hoping that Donna and Miyoung will come back. We already have Nancy Pelosi. I'm not gonna tell y'all all the goodies, but you want to come back. Yes. And Tracy, I would say just of last week, we raised over $42,000. We have had almost 4,000 viewers. So people want the information. People want the feel good. Yes. Let's keep this party going right into the polls, you all. And if you can, vote on the very first day of early vote. So next week, same time, join the Texas Democratic Party for Women Winning Texas with the Biden campaign.
There you go. Right on. Okay, so so just to close out today too, I want to mention that the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation is having their Phoenix Awards this evening. That is on BET. I think it starts at 7, 8 o'clock. So don't miss that. It's going to be concerts and, awards and acknowledgments for all our congressional members and what's going on across the country. Also, thank you very much again, Next Wave Strategies. Erica Johnson, thank you so much. She really worked with me and we put this on together. So that's okay, I got Next Wave Strategies, Texas Coalition of Black Democrats, of course, Sarita with the Texas Democratic Party, who is always so helpful and so strong in supporting and jumping in whenever needed, always taking the call and ready to just, do the damn thing. The Black Women's PAC. I really want to encourage you all, support the Black Women's PAC. I mean, this is so important that we have a foundation and that we have a resource for Black women who want to run for office, who might not be the popular candidate, who might be the popular candidate, but we have a foundation, we have our own skin in the game. And, when they go to office, they know that the community is still with them, that we can engage, that we can, mobilize and get out there and support when needed. Who knew that Mayor Yolanda Ford was going through all that drama in Missouri City? I mean, we should be there to support her. So amongst others. So definitely go vote. And I'll even give Sarita the last word. Sarita, you got something else?
Oh my goodness, thank you. I don't really, other than thank you so much to everyone for attending. Thank you to all of our incredible guests, candidates. Look, y'all, I was with Dr. Brayley yesterday. I was with Tracy today. I am truly filled with joy and the love of Black women. Continue to support each other, continue to love on each other. And early vote starts Tuesday, October 13th. Make a plan, get out there. Thanks, everyone.